It's the Chris and Amy Show.
Check it out.
St. Louis, Mound City, we are going to have a great day today.
Now, Amy Markscore's Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Let's take it from the top.
Oh, good morning on a Wednesday.
Good morning.
It's Wednesday, Amy.
Why do you say Tuesday and Wednesday? Is that what your grandparents said?
No, I knew a guy in college that's how he used to talk.
Oh.
And I thought it was funny.
That's rude.
Wednesday? Hey, we're going out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
I think that's an older person thing, because did your grandparents ever say Sunday? Like a Sunday?
I know
would be a Sunday?
When I was younger, I know
Mhm.
people did. I just don't remember who.
I grew up calling the refrigerator the icebox because that's what my grandparents called it.
I did have I think a great-grandparent did that.
I didn't even know that's not what it was called until like a few years ago.
Well, they used to bring actual blocks of ice.
That's right.
Amy Markscore's Chris Ranji. You're welcome.
Reminiscing
I
about
know.
the Depression.
Let's talk about old words. Chris and Amy show until 1 o'clock today. And then it's Dave Glover. We are glad you are with us. 314-436-7900. That's phone number. We are taking your voice messages on the Odyssey app. Tap the mic button and send it. We are also streaming live. You can look at us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Time now for the top of the order. The top three stories everybody will be talking about.
Marcellus Williams, who had been trying to convince people of his innocence, was put to death yesterday evening. All of that going through. We have a statement from the county prosecutor, Wesley Bell.
And a scathing report said that Baldwin's recently fired police chief drove drunk, hooked up in public, solicited favors. And you can't do that.
Ugh. No, you cannot do that.
You can't.
Also, the Cardinals
Can't do
beat the Rockies yesterday, 7-3, or last night. They will continue. They have now 5 games left in their regular season, Amy. It's coming to an end
Now,
very rapidly.
they are, again, it's not pointless, these games. They are trying to stay above 500.
They are. And now they're 3 games over 500.
Pretty good.
So, that's a pretty good start for that. And I don't know. I wish we were talking about getting ready for playoffs, wild card, something like that, but we're not. We'll talk to John Rooney today.
Yeah.
He joins us on Wednesday. Is this our last visit of the season with John?
Oh, I think it might be.
It's either today or it's going to be next Wednesday, but I think it's today.
When do the playoffs officially start?
I don't have a start date. It's going to be next week.
Would it be next? Like, it's that quick of a turnover? It's a
Yeah,
pretty
they're not
quick
going to wait a
turnover.
whole week. It might even be like Monday.
I am very
It's
disappointed.
Monday or Tuesday.
Very disappointed, obviously, that the Cardinals aren't in it. But like I said earlier, I do love playoff baseball. I like cold baseball. It's fun.
I do
Also,
too.
the playoffs, because they are rather exclusive in Major League Baseball, they are manageable to me. The season, too many teams, too many games.
Yeah.
I can't keep up. It's stressful. The
I-
playoffs I can keep up with.
I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
there are a couple of division round days where there are a bunch of games
Yeah.
from morning to night. And those are fun days, kind of like the first couple of days of the NCAA tournament. So looking forward to that. Unfortunately, the Cardinals aren't going to be part of it. There was a news story that broke yesterday. A sports story that we just touched on a little bit. Brett Favre, who a longtime quarterback for the Packers, Hall of Famer. He mentioned yesterday during a hearing in front of Congress that he has Parkinson's disease. So we are going to talk to an orthopedic surgeon at St. Louis University who specializes in athlete injuries, and we'll talk about CTE and all that stuff. We have, as I mentioned, Rooney, and if you are in a toxic work environment, Matt Pajeski is raising his hand, our producer.
You know what, though, I'm on Matt's side. This
He's
is pretty
fine.
Toxic.
He's
And I think
fine.
we know the source of the contamination.
James O'Sullivan? It's James O'Sullivan. I knew it. Producer James. Matt Pajeski keeps complaining about how awful it is to work with us.
This quote unquote interview that that Matt Pajeski, our producer, set up may or may not be
An intervention.
a cry for help.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk to Chris Kajawa, who is the Chief Human Resources Officer for Conduent, and he will give us some ideas of what constitutes a toxic work environment, how you can handle it. If you're an employer, how you can better create a good environment for your employees. And if you're an employee in a bad one, then you can
You definitely
figure out how to deal.
I mean, you're toxic, and I think
I'm not.
why it's so compounded in this situation is that we can all agree this is not a controversial statement that the news is toxic, right?
The
like
news
like
sucks.
politics and
Yeah.
murder and police chiefs hooking up, like all of it is very
I mean, that seems kind of fun.
okay, well.
I just wouldn't do it in a parking lot.
That's right. You'd be more discreet.
Yeah. Outside of a bar. No one can see in these windows, can they? Hey, is that the chief of police in Baldwin?
That's like when
Well.
in the county government office in Clayton there was a little tryst.
At least that was indoors.
Well, it was, but they filmed it and the guy forgot to take off his lanyard
Oh,
with
yeah,
his
that's
name
right.
on it in the video. That's bad. So anyway,
We just don't do discretion anymore.
I am looking forward to talking about that. And I will say, quick note before we move on to a sad story. I do think the toughest part of like coming back from vacation is when you can truly disconnect from the news cycle,
Yeah.
right? And mass shootings and school shooting threats and another assassination attempt and what's going on in the criminal justice system. If you truly disconnect, I mean, it felt like a cleanse. I felt lighter. And so I think it was harder jumping back into it. And I know you have to know what's going on and you want to be an informed citizen, but it's nice to take a break.
And part of you wonders, you know what? Should I catch up or should I just pick up where everybody else left off? So is there like a whole 2 weeks of time that I've just completely forgotten about?
I will say
You almost want to do that, don't you?
I've never disconnected as much. You know how you give me crap for listening to the show and texting in? Remember when
Yes.
I went to Florida and I texted into the show with you and John because I listened every day?
Yes.
I didn't listen.
Good for you.
I didn't even click on the headlines.
Look.
I needed to step away from the chaos and insanity.
I love KMOX. It is a huge part of my life growing up, interning here,
Yep.
now working here. The shows on this station are fantastic.
Yeah.
Total Information is awesome. Dave
People and
Glover is
voices you
great.
trust and know and love.
Yeah, Sports Open Line,
Mhm.
Total Information, PM. Like all these shows are great. I need a break sometime because I work here. So when I leave here, I want to do other things.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
But
do.
but for the people, they should be listening all the time
Yes.
if you want to stay informed.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely great. I do want to make a note because one story that Ranj and I had been following, and all of you have been following, and all of St. Louis had been following, and the country is that of Marcellus Williams, who was put to death yesterday by lethal injection at 6 p.m. Obviously, we've been talking about the push to stay his execution in light of new evidence, or I should say a lack of DNA evidence on the murder weapon. His DNA was not on there, as well as other issues in the case. And the Innocence Project was advocating for Marcellus Williams, as was Wesley Bell and the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney's office. And that's notable when you have the prosecuting attorney saying we need to revisit this case and
Yeah.
revisit the capital punishment issue for Marcellus Williams, but he was put to death yesterday at 6 p.m. Wesley Bell, St. Louis County prosecutor, issued a statement. He said, quote, Marcellus Williams should be alive today. There were multiple points in the timeline when decisions could have been made that would have spared him the death penalty. If there is even the shadow of a doubt of innocence, the death penalty should never be an option. This outcome did not serve the interests of justice, end quote.
So, I mean, that statement kind of that's how I feel about the situation. I don't know if the guy did it or not, and that's kind of the problem. is that there does appear to be a lot of reasonable doubt here, especially when the two witnesses that put him in prison in the first place are very unreliable. And one of them asking for money in order to give his testimony and wouldn't do it until he got paid. There's just a lot of red flags with what put him behind bars. Did he do it? I don't know, but that's the standard we live by. Reasonable doubt, and there appears to be a lot of reasonable doubt here. Her family didn't, Felicia Gale's family didn't even they did not want him to be put to death. To me, the problem with it is a mistake that you can't undo. If we do find out definitively 5 years from now, oh yeah, it turns out this other guy just admitted to doing the crime, too late. Because this guy's dead.
And I think to clarify, and I'm sure people understand this, but what you were pushing for, and even Wesley Bill's office, it was not exoneration.
Right, it wasn't
They
getting him
weren't
out of
saying like get him
prison.
out of prison. It was at the very least saying he's no longer on death row. He can serve a life sentence. He can remain in prison the rest of his life. But what that does do, like you said, if more evidence were to come out, and it does exonerate him, then he is able to walk out of prison,
Right.
like we saw happen several weeks ago with the man who was in prison for over 30 years. And they were able
Christopher
to,
Dunn.
yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Christopher Dunn, prove that he was actually innocent. He can't get those 30 years back. I don't know how you recover from that, but he walked out. But you can't reverse the death penalty.
No, that's my issue with it, and I think it stinks. Again, I don't know if he committed the crime or not, but the standard that we have set for ourselves in the country is reasonable doubt. And there appears to be a lot of that. So the stubbornness of the state, and then the Missouri Supreme Court, and then the U.S. Supreme Court refusing to grant any sort of stay. It's unfortunate.
And again, I don't know. And I will say the death penalty is one of those issues where I was never strongly for it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't against it. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I think it should be there. I've probably gotten to the point where I'm not always strongly against it. I think if there's any reasonable doubt, like in this case, I do think it should, even if you go to, life in prison. However, the law is not completely void of mercy, but it should be void of emotion. And what you do see, where there are legalities here where they were saying, well, because his DNA was not on the murder weapon, we have exonerating evidence, but really they thought there was a third party set of fingerprints belonging to an unknown male. Well, there was no third party evidence belonging to an unknown male. It was the lead trial attorney as well as the lead investigator. So then you look back, does that count as new evidence to overturn what the jury decides? Because there is something sacred about what a jury decides. And so I'm not sure how much of this as well, right, is the court saying, we want to. Maybe they did. Maybe there were members of the Supreme Court that wanted to stay the execution, but felt legally they didn't have that prerogative according to kind of whatever the mess of evidence was.
That's Amy Marks-Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. We got a lot coming up on the show today. And again, we want to hear from you. 314-436-7900 or your voice messages. You can leave them on the Odyssey app. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
Charlie Brennan once again with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler, is it possible we might say, oh, those kids are mumbling, when the problem really is our own inability to hear?
Exactly. Hearing is integral in everything that we do. It keeps us involved and embraced in life. Not hearing someone is never normal. Ringing in the ears is never normal. And when people have a hearing loss, oftentimes they complain that they can hear, but they cannot understand people. And avoiding getting a hearing aid can have long-term effects on the speech reception area of the brain. So what that means is if you test and treat the hearing loss early with a hearing aid, we can prevent a decline in the speech understanding that can happen if the hearing loss goes untreated.
The words of Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. 3 locations in St. Louis, 636-441-7470, the Audiology Center, STL.com. FireCapitalManagement.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535, 800-511-3535, or biglou.com.
Did you know that now is the best time to top dress your lawn? St. Louis Composting has compost specifically created for top dressing. To learn more, visit stlcompost.com. That's stlcompost.com.
In the know, on the go. Trust KMOX for local news that impacts St. Louis and the region. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji on KMOX. We're discussing what we would do if we found ourselves out of a job, and we both want to be park rangers.
No, so here's what happened. I go, Raj, what would you do if you weren't in radio? He goes, oh, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the problem. I said, I'd be a park ranger. And he goes, you know what? I actually thought about that, too. And I said, no.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, folks, if I quit this job because I've had it, I can't take it anymore. I become a park ranger, and I turn around, and Chris Ranji has also become a park ranger.
Do you get a weapon?
No, but you wear if you're in a national park ranger, like in the Tetons or the Rocky Mountain National Park, you get really cute sweater vests. Like it's a really cute sweater vest and it has little patches on it that says National Park and like a brown hat.
Yeah.
Like not like a cowboy hat, but like a ranger hat.
Yeah.
And you can stand in a little hut and take people's tickets. And I want to do that.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, but
I want to do a job that is really easy, but pays a decent amount. Do they have those?
I don't think so.
They don't?
My guess is I don't think it pays super well. I mean, I don't want to diss the park rangers. I don't think anybody becomes a park ranger to get super rich.
If you're a park ranger, is it your responsibility to, if there's something that shouldn't be going on in the park, to break it up? Is it your responsibility? Like people are acting fools? Do you have to go over and say, hey, everybody, calm down? Is that your job?
I think you call the police. I think park rangers,
yeah.
their job is like pull weeds and be like, oh, a log fell on
They
the
get
road.
to drive around in that car, though.
No, I'm talking national park rangers, like Rocky Mountain National
I
Park
was
or
thinking
Grand
of Forest
Tetons,
Park.
right? Or Castlewood. Yeah, you could do that.
Okay. I
You
wouldn't
don't
be.
get a vest. Those park rangers do carry weapons, I think.
That's what I was wondering.
Yes. No, I'm talking about the national park rangers, like at the Arch.
So Amy, there's a lot of chatter this morning
Yeah.
about the Armory in St. Louis.
Yeah.
There are, I mean, it's everywhere right now and gaining quite a bit of traction. We've seen Rennie Knott from Channel 5 asking about it, that it looks like the Armory, if it's not closing, may be closing permanently.
Well, it is. There's a lot of chatter
Yes.
online about this and how it would be effective immediately. I think everyone, I don't know if people were surprised, maybe. People
Yeah.
who worked there might have been surprised. I'm not sure.
Well, somebody has posted a screenshot of one of the managers of the place, notifying everybody in the group chat that it's closed, and put the guy's phone number out there, which is really silly. I'm sure he's not happy
Like
about that.
doxing him on purpose?
No, I don't think it was a purposeful
Oh.
thing. I think they just weren't thinking when they posted it. But it's it says effective immediately, and I know that we'll working to confirm it. But man, if that's the case, if the Armory does close, that's less than 2 years. It's been open, and that sucks. That really sucks for us. I guess it's not the biggest deal in the world. Things open, things close, whatever. But to have a big project like that, and inside the Armory, I think it's a really cool building. It's just huge.
I do think
Right?
it is huge. And I will say this. The size of it is cool because it was an armory, right? Because of its original purpose. However, the problem with big spaces, cavernous spaces, even if there's a decent amount of people
It
there,
looks like it's empty.
looks empty and it looks dead, and nobody wants to be at a place that's empty. Like, that's the worst thing, is when you want to go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you go someplace and that restaurant or that bar feels kind of dead or empty. People are spread out. You kind of, let's go somewhere else. The size of it, the sheer size of it,
Yeah.
probably wasn't fair in the sense of you could have, a couple hundred people there and it wouldn't look crowded.
Private events, though, I mean, if you can put together a private event that is a lot of people, that's a great space for it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you ever go?
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. The last time I went was last football season. I think it was toward the end of last football season. If you were in there were probably 100 or so people, which is a lot of people to have in an establishment, maybe a couple hundred, but it felt like it was open.
Yeah.
Right. It just felt like, because there's so much space, it felt like there weren't that many people there. I enjoyed the place. I like it.
I never went.
Yeah. So hopefully something happens, but it does look like the Armory might be done.
All right. We will keep you updated on that. In the meantime, we've got an interesting conversation that you do not want to miss if your insurance card, your car insurance card, happens to be on your phone, and what you should or should not do if you get pulled over and have to present your insurance card.
Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, KMOX.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Tune into the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at 11 a.m. or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
After suffering an injury, you may face many hard questions. What will tomorrow bring? Which firm should I choose to represent me and my family? At Morgan & Morgan, we will hold your hand every step of the way. From our one-click sign-up, mobile apps, and 24/7 availability, we make it easy to get your case started right from the comfort of your couch. All firms are not the same. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
At 10:30, sun and 67 downtown at the Arch. The National Hurricane Center says Helene has strengthened to a hurricane with sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. Meteorologist David Parkinson says it is projected to make landfall late Thursday in the Big Bend area of Florida.
This storm is going to rapidly intensify. It's over some of the warmest water on Earth. There is no shear to tear it apart. There is no dry air to come in.
The Cardinals begin their series in Colorado, beating the Rockies 7-3 behind a huge night from Mason Wynn. He goes 2 for 5 with a double and a home run and a career-high 4 RBIs. The home run was his 15th of the year. Michael McGreevy goes 5 innings, allowing 3 runs on 4 hits. He does not factor into the decision. Andrew Kittredge picks up the win. Game 2 of the 3-game set coming up tonight. Eric Fetty on the mound, 7:40 first pitch. Our coverage begins at 6:45. With the Redbird Report, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Forecast is sponsored by Fast Eddie's Bon Air. If you're 21, Fast Eddie's Bon Air, 1530 East 4th Street. Great food, entertainment, the home of the Big Elwood on a Stick, the Big Fat Eddie Burger, and the world-famous Peel and Eat Shrimp. Fast Eddie's in Alton, Illinois. This afternoon, less humid, more sun than clouds, high of 78. Tonight, some clouds, low 50 in the suburbs, 57 downtown. Sunshine with clouds tomorrow, high 78. Right now, it is 67. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
I'm Debbie Monterey, and I see more clearly thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Make your appointment today at 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
This is Jean Marie Laskus with the podcast Cement City. So there's this election coming up, a big one, and one guy's been indicted. People are talking voter fraud. Democracy itself is on the line. Sound familiar? Well, this isn't that election. This one is in Donora, Pennsylvania, a dying town in the middle of nowhere, where I bought a house and stayed for 3 years. Listen to and follow Cement City, an Odyssey original podcast in partnership with Cement City Productions. Available now for free on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcast.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. The director of Siteman Cancer Center, Dr. Tim Eberlein.
When they have a comprehensive cancer center, and of course, Siteman is the only comprehensive cancer center and only NCI designated center in the entire state of Missouri, and in fact, in this region.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/gutter to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/gutter. That's leaffilter.com/gutter.
Hi, this is Paul Goldschmidt, and it's game day.
It's the Cards and Rockies tonight. Ameren Total Access 645. First pitch 740.
Let's play ball.
On your voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Well, Ranj, some new details of misconduct allegations against a former Baldwin police chief. They have floated to the surface in court. So these allegations include sexually explicit behavior in public. This Baldwin police chief used his position to solicit favors for his whiskey club and, quote, very likely driving his city car while drunk.
Oh.
So Douglas Schaeffler,
I think that's Schaeffler.
Yeah, he was fired in December of 2023. And the stories coming out about Schaeffler and how he used his position of power seemingly for unseemly incidents like hooking up with a date in his car outside a West County bar, making inappropriate comments about photos of women, including job applicants and new hires.
I need to know what bar that is. I don't know why, but I just need to know what.
I think it was in Baldwin. If you are the Baldwin police chief and you think, you know what I think is a good idea? Using my city car to hook up with someone in the parking lot of a West County bar. Maybe it's Baldwin, maybe it's not, but it's still West County.
I know personally a retired, and this is according to him, and I believe him. I think he's a fairly trustworthy person. And he told me this story years ago, and he's been retired for a long time. But a retired Illinois State police officer, Illinois State trooper, who used to have rendezvous in his cruiser he would had a girlfriend, and they would go in cornfields and stuff. Like that's wild to me. That you would even in a rural area, why would you even mess with something like that just in case somebody saw you?
I had to print a W-2 form on an office printer, and it was technically for work, but because it was my personal W-2, I was afraid I was going to go to prison for using an office printer to print a W-2 form. And this guy is having sexy time in his cruiser, which, by the way, if you're the girl, don't you think there have been criminals and miscreants and ne'er-do-wells in the backseat of their car?
Oh, you don't ever want to go in the backseat of a
dirty
car. Well,
I think they were hooking up in the backseat. I feel like the front seat has too much apparatus.
have you ever been in the backseat of a squad car?
No.
I have. I've never been
arrested. Did you
arrested.
throw the pants away? It's probably dirty.
I was not arrested or anything. I knew a Chicago cop who would drive me from one bar to the next one. True story. And the back seat of the squad car was just like hard plastic. It wasn't so they could hose it down. I'm serious.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it was like that.
That's the thing that's so gross. That is, okay, which is worse? And I know we've got so much to talk about. We've got to move on from this, but they talk about the Mile High Club. Airplane bathrooms are gross. I feel like an airplane bathroom might be even less gross than the backseat of a squad car. No one's
I don't
having
think there's any question about
no
that.
one is having a good day if they're in the backseat of a squad car.
Well,
they're probably not in mint condition.
I was having a pretty good day when I was in the back of
Were
one.
your pants soiled? Were you bleeding?
No,
but a lot of people are.
No, we were getting a free ride without having to call a cab.
Anyway, I don't even know if this happened in the backseat.
I don't either. It could have been in the front, but I think that what happens is there are probably some people who wear the uniform and the badge who think they can get away with anything. I would think that nowadays, though, you'd feel less confident that you can get away with stuff. There are more eyeballs on you. So it always confuses me when a modern police officer conducts him or herself in a way like this, because everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a camera on them at all times, and you've got body cams, right? I can't imagine. Back in the 90s and prior to that, I know people who were cops who said, man, we used to get away with a lot of stuff. And sure, back then, because there weren't as many people who were paying attention to you, it's surprising that even though you're the chief of police, you would feel like you can get away with all of this stuff. At some point, it's going to come back to get you.
And here's the thing. Because yes, you would hope that it's not just that he was a police officer, he was a chief of police, that you would know better, know that people are going to judge not just you, but your entire industry, right?
Yeah.
By your actions. They're going to hold you to a higher standard because you hold power. And I will say this, and this has been true since ancient times. Power and sex corrupt everyone, mostly men. Corrupt every man. Power and sex. It doesn't matter if you're a senator or a representative or a president or a dictator or a police chief or whatever you are. From ancient times, power and sex corrupt people and make them they make very stupid, short-sighted, selfish decisions. I really think that's the only thing that explains why you see this happening. People get a little power, and all of a sudden, power and sex are available to them. This goes back to like biblical times. It's insane.
Speaking of that, you heard, I know, right before you went on vacation, briefly, that story came out about the Florissant police officer who no longer is with the police department in Florissant, but had pulled over a woman. And she's anonymous. Obviously, I don't think she would want her name out there after this because it's a terribly embarrassing thing and violating thing to have happened to her. But he had pulled her over in Florissant, and she had on her phone her insurance card. So for people who don't know this, and I would think most of us who drive know by now, that you can have your insurance card on your phone. They got the digital wallets, right? I've got mine. I've got my State Farm insurance on my phone.
Yeah.
I also have a physical copy, which is in the car, but I know that I can use either one of them.
I don't even have a physical copy. I only have the updated car insurance,
Sure.
It's an app, right? And
Yeah,
you can
yeah. It's the
download
digital wallet.
Yeah, to your wallet.
So this police officer pulls her over for a traffic violation. She says, I have, my insurance card on my phone. She gives the phone to the officer, who takes the phone back to his car. He's in there for approximately 10 minutes, comes back, gives her the phone, says, okay, be on your way. No ticket, no warning, no nothing. She finds out from the FBI,
Months later.
And I'm still trying to figure out why the FBI knew this. The FBI informs her, they contact her out of nowhere and say, nude photos of you were found on this police officer's phone. So what this guy had done is take her phone back to his car, got his phone out, looked through her phone, found photos that she had sent her husband, and he screenshotted them with his phone. That's what he did. So he's no longer with the department, but there are lawsuits against him. There's one that involves a minor, that he may have done something similar with her.
Which may be how the FBI got involved.
It probably is, but there's
of the
never
case with the minor, but it doesn't exactly say.
Yeah, none of the stories that have been written about it say one way or the other why they knew about it. At any rate, they are involved. They told the woman about it. So Brad Young was hosting with me last week, one of the days you were out, and we talked about that very thing. And he said, Brad Young is our legal expert here at KMOX, and he said, never, ever, ever give your phone to a cop if you get pulled over.
Yeah.
Never, unless they have a warrant for it. They have to have a warrant for your phone to look through it. Because I asked them that question.
Yeah.
I have heard stories of people getting pulled over because they were texting while driving, which you should not do. And cops will say, well, let me see your phone, unlock your phone for me, give it to me. I'm going to see if you were texting, and I'm going to check. And he says, don't ever give your phone to a cop. They have to have a warrant for it. And he just actually sent me a story about this yesterday. It was written by The Verge, which is a tech website. They cover a lot of technical stories, or technology stories. And the headline is, don't ever hand your phone to the cops. Digital IDs make it tempting to leave your driver's license at home because you can have your license on it, but that is a dangerous risk. So, bit of advice.
And
if you ever get pulled over, never, ever give your phone to a cop.
And it's important because I would have handed my phone to the cop because you're in that situation, you're nervous. And like I said, I haven't had like particularly great experiences getting pulled over. I think I've had particularly abrupt, rude police officers for whatever reason. And I support police officers and we need police officers. That's why it doesn't help when you have these situations where it took me a second. This is before smartphones. It's like, I need to see your proof of ID. And I'm going through the middle console. He's watching me go through it. And I'm kind of nervous because he's looming over me. And he's like, I could take you to prison right now. You're lucky I'm not taking you to prison right now for not being able to produce this right away. And it just flustered me more. I got so nervous. So yes, absolutely. If a cop, and I think I did get pulled over and I think I showed him my phone. I can't remember. But if he had said, give me your phone, in that moment, I would not have known that I didn't have to. I would have given it to him. He could have walked away. There's nothing I can do. I'm not going to run after him and ask for the phone back. I'm not going to yell, hey, don't walk away with my phone. So it's so good to know, do not give them your phone. I also feel like if you have a digital wallet, this is motivating me to just print out, even if it's an obnoxious 8x11, print out your insurance card so you can hand them that 8x11 piece of paper, but don't give them your phone because not only, we talked about this woman, her intimate photos, and you may be thinking, well, I don't have any intimate photos in my photo album. Well, first of all, not the point. Second of all, neither did she. Those photos were on a text thread with her husband, meaning he was going through her text messages, reading her text messages, finding the photos and saving them, screenshot or taking a picture of them with his phone. I mean, this guy should be in jail. This is awful.
So the recommendation is, and it is extremely convenient to have the digital wallet. I like it. I have a lot of cards on my digital wallet. It's nice, right? If in case you do leave your wallet at home, you've got your phone.
Traveling our boarding passes, all on digital wallets.
Yeah. But the story and the legal advice is from legal experts that you're just better off having a physical ID card and a physical insurance card and giving that to police if they pull you over, which you do have to show that stuff, right? So that's some advice for people.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, and I'm right there with you. Had Brad not said that to me last week and then sent me this story last night, I would have just assumed that if I got pulled over that
I got to give him my phone.
He said, hey, unlock your phone. Let me look at it. I just would have said, okay, here you go. Don't do it.
Right. And if you feel uncomfortable, again, in that moment, it is an intimidating situation. And I always learned, hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. You follow the rules. And if they asked for my phone, I would feel trapped. And like I said, you think, well, maybe if I give it to them, maybe he'll stand right there and look at it. Okay. Still not great, but if he walks away with it, what are you going to do? You can't get out of your car.
If you do have your insurance card on your phone, hold it, show it to him. Don't let him touch it. You can't. All right. So this text message, Amy, says they can totally see you as a park ranger.
Oh.
But nothing about me.
Thank you.
Another texter says park rangers in national parks are essentially federal marshals, so they definitely carry firearms. And they are not calling local police to resolve any issues. I'd imagine. I don't know about that. I would think that in some cases they probably do.
Maybe. How about this? What if they can, but they don't carry all the time? Because I will say, when I was at the visitor center in the Grand Tetons National Park, there were some rangers walking around. They weren't carrying. They had the really cute outfits on, the pants and the vest, but I didn't see them carrying
Maybe
guns.
there are different levels of park ranger.
I would think there are different levels, and also maybe you don't always carry unless you're in that role. I don't know.
Text message from a 618, men are dogs. And that's coming from a 67-year-old man.
Good for you.
So what I'm gathering from this person is either he is still a dog at 67 or he used to be.
I think he, in his wisdom.
You think he's over it?
Yeah, I think in his wisdom, he's seen life and he's like, this is regrettable.
That's Amy Marks-Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. This is the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Saturdays are made for soccer. Presented by Michelob Ultra. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly.
Rowan Berkey, are you insane?
Catch St. Louis City Soccer anywhere you go on the Odyssey app. Or grab your friends and catch the game at any City on Tap location, bringing City SC fans and beer together.
Hi, my name is Indiana Voslev from St. Louis City, and Saturdays are made for soccer.
Brought to you by Together Credit Union, the exclusive banking partner of City SC.
When was the last time you watched your home movies?
Disasters strike unexpectedly. Every year, American families lose the one thing they'd run back into a burning building for, their family's memories. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Adam. We started Legacy Box to help save your family's most important recorded moments so you don't have to worry.
Load Legacy Box with your old movies, film reels, and shoeboxes of photos.
We work our digitizing magic, converting those memories right to the cloud so they're safe and accessible forever.
It's fast. We always send your originals back, and it's done right here in the USA.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, and Inc. magazine are all talking about Legacy Box.
New York Times columnist David Pogue says, have them digitized. I wish I'd done it sooner. Take action. Save your family's memories today with Legacy Box.
Go to legacybox.com/value to get an incredible 50% off your Legacy Box. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off while supplies last. legacybox.com/value.
It's warm now, but winter will be here before you know it. That's why Banner Construction is having their pre-winter window event. Choose from Banner's various energy-efficient brands and window price points featuring beautiful Pella windows. Banner is a certified Pella contractor and preferred James Hardie specialist. If you've been considering new windows or a fresh new exterior for your home, see Banner's work at bannerconstruction.com or call 314-569-1050 and have a Banner day.
Do you have $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in debt? Then listen to this. You may not be required to pay it all back.
I was drowning in debt.
I had over $36,000 in debt. If I would have just made the minimum payments, it would have taken me 59 years to pay off.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief can help significantly reduce what you owe. In fact, debt relief payments can be 50% less than your monthly credit card payments. That's right, half as much as you're paying now.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by over $27,000.
With National Debt Relief, you have a powerful team that knows how to talk to your creditors.
National Debt Relief, they got me out of debt.
More than 550,000 Americans have used National Debt Relief to reduce their debt. Call 800-649-6464 to see if you qualify to settle your debt for a fraction of what you owe. 800-649-6464. That's 800-649-6464.
Join the movement to end breast cancer on October 19th. By supporting the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer, you're helping save lives through groundbreaking research discovery and patient support. Get info or donate at makingstrideswalk.org/St. Louis Mo.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
I'm Rachel Zimmerman. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy?
Amy?
Yes.
Did you see this?
I don't know.
Rojas on the ground to third. Machado touches third, fires to second. Out at first. Oh my goodness! It's a triple play. It ends the ball game. The San Diego Padres have clinched their spot in the postseason after a magical 2024 campaign.
Amy,
Yeah.
the San Diego Padres, and that's courtesy of Padres Television, they clinched a playoff spot last night, and they ended the game on a triple play.
Wow.
It is the 28th game-ending triple play in history. No, I'm sorry. It's the 28th triple play. There are only 4 teams ever that have turned a triple play on the day they clinched a postseason berth. It happened with the Brewers in 2020. Prior to that, it was the Cubs in 1910, who also did it in 1907. The Padres are the only team ever to clinch a playoff spot with a triple play to end the game. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
This has so far been a baseball season with a lot of historical things that have happened.
I think that's how
Shohei Ohtani doing what he did, the 10 runs batted in on that one day where he went 6 for 6 with 3 homers.
The first guy to hit 50
50-50.
home runs and 50 stolen bases. I think that's how we bring in CBS Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett tomorrow.
That's a pretty good idea.
With that triple play. We'll mix it up, not just Led Zeppelin, but the triple play.
I'm sure he would love that.
That call definitely had the is it Jim Cantori, the Thunder Snow when he was
the Weather Channel person.
Yeah, the Weather Channel person. I felt like that vibe. Also,
we're going to get the losingest team in baseball history at some point. Last night, the Sox were losing in the 8th inning.
Okay.
And they came back and won for the first time ever all year.
And the crowd
booed.
That's right.
The home crowd booed them
obviously.
Because they won. I'm not joking.
Because you gotta. What are they trying to do now?
They wanted them to lose.
Spoil it.
Bunch of people went to the ball game last night to watch them break that crappy record.
100%. I would be mad. I'm like, no. I came to this stupid game
to see the losingest
team ever.
Yeah.
Well, now more people have to go to another game. Okay, so comedian John Mulaney. I think he is absolutely hilarious.
I like John Mulaney.
He gave a keynote speak at a Dreamforce San Francisco techie conference. For 45 minutes, he roasted them a few lines. He goes, let me get this straight. You're hosting a Future of AI event in a city that has failed humanity so miserably. You look like a group who looked at the self-checkout counters at CVS and thought, this is the future. So many of you feel imminently replaceable. Can AI sit there in a fleece vest? Can AI not go to events and spend all day at a bar?
My favorite line that he had was something about there are 45,000 trailblazers here, which really devalues the term.
Some of the vaguest language ever devised has been used here in the last 3 days. The fact that there are 45,000 trailblazers here couldn't devalue the title anymore.
That's one of the things that bothers me about the tech bro world is that they all see themselves as disruptors or innovators, or you really think highly of yourself, don't
you? He goes,
you?
Congratulations at succeeding at a job that didn't exist 5 years ago. Here's another one. We're just two guys hitting wiffle balls badly and yelling good job at each other.
That's true. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. When we come back, Matt Pajeski has been crying about the work environment he is in.
Well, because it's toxic.
I think it's fine. He's fine.
That's what the toxic person would say.
We're going to talk to an expert on toxic work environments.
Yes.
Chris Kajawa, Chief Human Resources Officer for Conduent. He will be with us when we come back. He'll tell you what you can do if you're in a toxic work environment. That's next on KMOX.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
You're in hot water, mister.
What'd I do?
I told you months ago our utility bills were getting higher because of that old outdated tank water heater.
Maybe it's time we finally switch to a Navien tankless.
Learn about Navien's high-efficiency tankless water heaters, endless hot water, all while helping you save on your energy costs.
Hey, look at this. Our utility bill is lower since we got the Navien tankless water heater.
Who's in hot water now?
We are, all the time.
Learn more at tanklessmadesimple.com.
This is a commercial for California Psychics, America's most trusted psychic network. So, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. No, really, this is it. You won't see your soulmate's face in the clouds or your career path mapped out in your cappuccino foam. This really is it. We could add some dramatic sound effects if you'd like. So what you waiting for? Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
At 11 o'clock, we've got sunshine. It is 69 downtown at the Arch. Tropical storm Helene is expected to strengthen rapidly and become a hurricane as it moves across the Gulf of Mexico toward Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis held a news conference, says that people are evacuating many shelters except pets.
Please don't leave your pets behind, especially if you're in one of the areas that's more low-lying where you can have significant damage. You don't want to leave a dog behind, not knowing when you're going to be able to get back.
With tensions continuing to rise in the Middle East, where does a ceasefire deal stand in Gaza?
Secretary of State Antony Blinken told CBS Mornings a ceasefire deal remains elusive right now.
I think hard decisions remain to be made by Israel, but the problem right now in terms of bringing this across the finish line is Hamas. Its refusal to engage in a meaningful way.
And he says it's all a question of political will.
In the first instance, that political will needs to be demonstrated by Hamas. We haven't seen it. Israel would have some hard decisions to make to bring this to a close, but we've got to see if Hamas is actually serious.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
One passenger is dead after a hostage situation this morning on a Los Angeles city bus. CBS's Kara Finstrom was on the scene.
Police say he held the driver at gunpoint. Some of the passengers immediately got off. They say the gunman then ordered the driver to start driving, directing him at times to go in the wrong direction. The LAPD deployed spike strips a number of times, slowing down the bus, an aggressive move. It eventually came to a stop. There were 2 hostages still on board, as well as the driver. The suspect barricaded himself in the bus with them.
A new subdivision is being built in Fairview Heights, Illinois, amid a housing shortage for seniors.
The shortage is tremendous.
North Bend Residences, a Village of New Life, the $21 million development is financed through a combination of federal and local grants and loans, including support from the nonprofit wing of New Life Church in Fairview Heights, where Dr. Jeffrey Dudley Sr. serves as bishop.
We don't have just a little bit of dirt that we're going to move. They are moving dirt as we speak, 14 to 18 months. And they will be ready to go, ready to move in.
At completion, North Bend will boast an apartment complex, 1 to 2 bedroom homes and duplexes, maxing out at 60 units. The St. Clair County Housing Authority says it has right around 1,800 people on the waiting list for affordable Section 8 housing who are seniors or disabled or veterans. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The KMOX Business Desk, St. Louis-based Stifel joins other major financial area giants in agreeing to civil penalties imposed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Stifel will pay $35 million for violating federal securities laws by not preserving electronic communications. Edward Jones and Wells Fargo advisors have also had to pay up after an industry-wide investigation into employees communicating with customers on personal devices and apps, then deleting or not properly archiving the messages. Under federal law, businesses must preserve electronic communications so the SEC can review them. The Dow is down 234 points to 41,979. We had some road work on 170 going south at 270, but MoDOT says that has just been cleared.
Sunshine, some clouds, and pleasant this afternoon. High 78. Partly cloudy this evening. Clear overnight. Down to 50 in the coolest suburbs. 57 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow. High 78. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
At the moment, we've got 68 degrees in Florissant, also 68 in St. Peters, and it is 68 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
KMOX, where every crack of the bat resonates with tradition, passion, and the spirit of Cardinals Nation.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX. Hour 2 of 3 today and always throughout the course of the year. Sometimes baseball season we get off a little bit earlier, but usually it's 10 to 1. And we go to the Quiver River Electric guest line for the first time this morning because, well, we know that it can be difficult at work. We know that sometimes it's difficult to work for a particular person or with a particular person. Sometimes work environments can be toxic. And the Chief Human Resources Officer for Conduent, which is one of America's 100 most loved workplaces, the Chief Human Resources Officer for them, Chris Kajawa, is with us this morning on KMOX. Chris, good to have you with us. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We are doing okay. So, our producer, Matt Pajeski, who I know you've interacted with, and that's how you ended up on the show today, he is complaining about being in a toxic work environment. Should the pre-show verbal beatings continue or no?
I think all is fair in radio, so I would say have some fun.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think of that?
That's all the time we have for today. We go take a break.
Yeah, he did with a small tear down his cheek yesterday. He said that this interview might be a quote cry for help. Okay, and I know we're making fun. It's a serious issue, and we'll deal with Chris Ranji later. But when you look at some of the numbers that are coming out here in a recent survey, 71% of employees prefer working from home to avoid toxic office cultures. And some of those toxic behaviors include feeling belittled in front of other employees, bullying, forced to work long hours, and harassment. Those are some pretty high numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, and you can only imagine, the impact on productivity is absenteeism, customer service, when you have people that aren't comfortable being at work or, working with people. And so it's a big problem, and there's a lot of, money on the line for companies.
When you're looking at some of these behaviors that people list, right, feeling belittled, bullying, do we have any data on whether this type of toxicity is peer-to-peer, like equal level to equal level, or if it's coming, from the top managerial levels down?
It's really interesting because it was like a third in this survey. It was a third coming from leadership, a third coming from management, middle management, and a third from people's peers. So it can really happen all over. So companies need to, take action to address it, in all three areas.
So companies need to do that. Let's start with what you do if you are an employee and you are working in one of these environments. And especially if the bullying or the belittling or whatever it is coming from a supervisor or a senior manager or whatever, you might feel helpless. So other than I'm going to go get a new job and leave this one, which is difficult for people, what do you do?
Yeah, you really only have three choices, right? Like you said, one is you can just go. Two is you can accept it and kind of wait it out, which really a lot of people do, but it's not great. And then three is, try to find a way to address it. And sometimes it's, contacting human resources or your manager, or mentor if you have a company you trust. Or sometimes it's talking to peers or talking to the actual person that might be creating the problem and tell them to stop it. But it's a difficult decision, I think, for people. We've all been in these situations to decide, what do you want to do? Because you don't, sometimes you might feel like your job is on the line by speaking up.
So how often does it happen that a company has an untrustworthy HR department where, that's the place you're supposed to be able to go?
Yeah. I mean, just like anything else, there's probably good and bad HR departments and good and bad cultures. I think a lot of companies try to create the right environment, but we probably all have some HR departments that we haven't trusted over the years. So it's it's part of the equation for people.
I know we all watch those training videos, right? Sexual harassment, and it's very obvious that if you're feeling pressure or you're feeling someone's making inappropriate comments, you don't have to face that person. It's never expected for you to address that person themselves. You go to like your HR or manager, someone who can help you. But what do you do if it's like not at the same level as sexual harassment, but it's just day after day, and then the person kind of can gaslight you, like, oh, I was just joking, oh, I didn't mean it, but it builds. It seems like there's not a lot of recourse. Yeah, those borderline situations can be stressful and have just as every big of impact on someone. It's still good to talk to someone. I mean, most HR departments are places you can trust. They're trained and skilled, and they can give you good advice on how to handle it. It doesn't mean they have to do a full-blown investigation. It might just mean they give you a little advice on how to handle it. But, so those are the types of things people should be doing.
We are talking with Chris Kajawa, who is a Chief Human Resources Officer for one of America's 100 most loved workplaces. So let's take this from the employer's perspective. How do you, it seems intuitive. I know how to create a good work environment, but maybe it's not so easy for some people to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. Sometimes it's easy to say, but hard to do, right? I think there's three key things, from my experience that companies should be doing. One is, you got to set the right expectations and role model the right behaviors at the top, right? And then that sets a whole tone for the company. But that's, easy to say, hard to do. The second one is to develop your managers. And, people need skills on, caring, coaching, communicating, creating that right environment, identifying when things aren't and fixing it. And then third is you have to have, that two-way communication with your employees. You have to listen to them and give them outlets so that if they do identify something, you actually act on it. And sometimes you got to remove people if they're creating, a bad environment for their employees. You even if they're a great performer, you still got to act on it, right? And stand up for your culture and what you believe in as your values.
So a lot of people, if they own a company or run a company, they are the buck stops with them kind of person. You have middle managers, or you have people who are under you who are supervising others. How do you keep an eye on them? Because I would think a lot of people just let their managers do their jobs and just assume the job is being done well. How do you make sure that they are treating their employees right?
Yeah, there's a lot of techniques. Larger companies, we do employee surveys, we do focus groups, we do skip level meetings where like I might meet with people that don't report to me, but that are 2 or 3, 4 layers down to, check in. And it just creates this culture of building trust. And when the employees see that you address bad behaviors, because everybody's talking about different things, and when they see that you actually address something, it builds trust. And then they're more likely to speak up. And if they speak up, you can address it. I mean, if things go on for a long time, you might get in a lawsuit. It might cost your company a lot of money. So you want to create a culture where people actually speak and bring things to your attention. It's actually positive versus, saying, oh, I don't want to hear about that.
Right. If you're a business owner or you're running a company, do you need to clearly define or establish some parameters for what qualifies as toxic behavior? Because I can imagine that everybody has a slightly different definition, and some people handle it better than others. If they're able to speak up, they have more agency. Others might be more sensitive to what's happening.
Yeah, there's probably a continuum of what some people might think is and what some people think isn't. So as a leader, owner, you have to set the tone and set expectations. And, there's going to be elements of gray where, sometimes there's learning on both sides. So you just have to work through them. But I think most people know what is good behavior and what isn't. It's just something that, most people just know in their heart and in their head.
So for Matt, our producer here, I have a problem with Matt. He doesn't always do what he's supposed to do. And I feel like I have no choice but to resort to berating him. So how do I get him to do what I need him to do without that?
Well, fear can be a great motivator, but there's other things too. Like maybe you try the carrot instead of the stick and throw him a bone once in a while.
He doesn't like
I know
carrots.
that might be hard for you, but maybe give him a compliment or encouragement.
That'd be nice. I would like that.
I think he dresses well. You could compliment him on always being professional.
Matt, you have a really nice work bag.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's leather.
It's made of leather.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think we've got it figured out now, Chris.
Sure. It's
right.
a super simple issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, because this is real too. I was talking to my friend recently about this and the situation that, people are in. There's also a difference. Sometimes people feel that they're surrounded by toxic coworkers, and sometimes people just feel like they're surrounded by idiots. And that is two different situations, right?
Yeah. Toxic is really where it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
But if people aren't smart, that's really a separate thing, but it's still something that hopefully your company can address, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do think, and it's funny because this is a serious thing, even as I'm kind of laughing, but it really is true. Toxic is there is behind it intentionality. Just feeling like you're surrounded by stupidity. I do think that incompetence or dealing with incompetence day in and day out can be very frustrating. It's just a separate issue than feeling, harassed or abusive behavior.
Right. And when you see a lot of incompetence, just be careful. Look in the mirror too. Check out yourself.
Okay. See, that was a question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
How
do you know if you're the dumb one?
How do you know if maybe you're the toxic one? Is that possible that you think this is a toxic work environment, but really it's you?
I think that's true. People, can get disengaged and get disgruntled, and there's probably people on the radio right now that are in that category, and you're probably not happy. So you may need to think about, how do I get happy? How do I address my issues? Sometimes there's mental illness, sometimes there's other issues, and sometimes you just need to leave and get a fresh start. So, because those people aren't really happy either. So I do kind of feel sorry for the people that are sometimes causing it, because there's usually a root cause underneath.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Chris. This is really great information. We don't really have HR here, so we had to.
All right. Well, give me a call if you ever need help.
Yeah. You're the guy. We know who to talk to from now on. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you.
Chris Kajawa, who is the Chief Human Resources Officer for Conduent, one of the 100 most loved workplaces in America, according to Newsweek. So Chris,
there you go.
Chris knows what he's doing.
Well, I think this is a go ahead.
We heard directly from the expert.
We did.
Matt needs to get over it.
It seems like
that's what he said.
He seemed
That's
kind
what I
of on
heard.
Ranja's side.
Yeah.
I will say this is a global issue, because when we were in Zurich getting coffee, the guy next to us was reading a book called Surrounded by Idiots. And it was one of those workplace self-help books.
Yeah.
Like how to communicate if you're surrounded by idiots.
That's how I feel as soon as I walk in the door every day. Like, surrounded by idiots. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. Matt Pajeski, you are doing a job today.
What kind of job?
Really nice, fine,
And he really
good.
does always look very professional.
You do.
He's
Bad
a-
at my job, but I look nice doing it.
It's all about image. Perception's reality.
We think you're great, buddy.
We do.
That's a start.
This is KMOX.
213 Flashpoint Complex will take you to the next level. It increases your metabolism, fights cravings, gives you all-day focused energy with no crash, and at night, it helps you burn fat by lowering cortisol levels. 213 Flashpoint Complex is available at Supplement Superstores. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Celebrate McKelvey Homes' 126th birthday with amazing savings. Get $18,980 off your brand new McKelvey home. But that's not all. You also receive up to $10,000 cash at closing from the Carpenters Union. That's a total savings of up to $28,980. But hurry, these funds are limited and won't last long. Move up to McKelvey. Visit McKelveyhomes.com. That's McKelveyhomes.com, established in 1898.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money. But do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At Fira Capital Management, formerly Heisey Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call Fira Capital Management today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 314-328-4400. That's 314-328-4400. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. Fira Capital Management, 314-328-4400. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Firm may not give tax advice.
It's a night to be entertained and inspired. The Musial Awards return to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 23rd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Musial Awards an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University. Saturday, November 23rd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-296-7260. That's 800-296-7260. 800-296-7260.
From city lights to neighborhood stories, KMOX's local newsroom keeps you informed. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Chris and Amy show on KMOX. John Rooney is going to join us after 11:30, and it may or may not be the last time we speak to him. I think it is. I almost feel like we talked to him right after the season ends, but I don't think so.
I think we do.
I don't know. Maybe. So you better be listening if you want to listen to John, because this could be the last time this season, because it has been a very disappointing Cardinals season. It does get worse, though. there are other worse things that could happen in baseball.
Okay.
Like what's happening with those Sox, who are
Yeah.
going to lose their 121st game. Maybe
I
tonight.
would want to be there.
I would love to be there. I was so last night they were losing
Mhm.
in the top of the 8th inning. They came back and they won. They were 0-94 when they were trailing after 7 innings. So all the people who went to this is what's fascinating about that whole situation. As Cardinals fans, and yeah, I think Cardinals fans have every right to be upset with the way this season has gone. And maybe it's not much consolation to say, well, at least you're not the worst team in history, which there is the worst team in history playing baseball right now. I don't know if that helps, but maybe it does for some people. Maybe they're like, well, at least we're not the White Sox, right? Because their fan base showed up to their ballpark last night specifically to watch their team lose, and they were rooting for it. They were rooting for them to break the record
Why wouldn't
of the
you?
1962 Mets.
Yeah.
I would.
I mean, that's the what you've got to make it fun. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. And I can't believe the White Sox aren't grateful that the fans showed up to watch them break the
They
record.
probably are. Speaking of bad ownership,
Okay.
John Fisher, who is the owner of the Oakland A's, you saw what this scumbag did, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, he's leaving town. He is taking the team out of town.
Yeah.
He is. He released a statement a couple of days ago, saying, "Hey, basically, we tried to keep the A's in Oakland. We tried 5 different times, and it just didn't work out. So now we have to leave." They are going to play the 2025 season in Sacramento, which could go on for potentially up to 3 years
Okay.
before they move to Las Vegas. But they still don't have a stadium deal done. And I know we've talked about this before, but I cannot get over how a professional sports league
Mhm.
would allow any owner, and I get it, it's like an old boys club, and once you're in the club, it's all 30 of you, and you're in it for each other and nobody else. You don't care about anybody else except for your bottom line. But it's confounding to me that a professional sports league can look at an owner, buy a team, run it for 15 years straight into the ground and say, you know what you deserve? You deserve to relocate to a new city and get a brand new stadium after you've completely, totally, intentionally mismanaged the one you've bought. We have a great example of that here in
Right.
St. Louis, right? I know the Rams are worth a whole lot more now than they used to be, so it's great for Stan. It's great for him. But when you're a sports team, you're asking people in that area to support you and to spend money on you and to wear your jerseys, watch your games on TV. Oh, we care about the city. We care about you. So you should care about us. And they do. And then you screw them in the end.
Mhm.
And the leagues allow it to happen.
And trash the city on the way out.
And trash the city on the way out. It's the one thing about sports that I hate the most. That these leagues allow people like Stan or people like John Fisher to try and leave, which makes me grateful that the state of Illinois is telling Jerry Reinsdorf to go get bent, trying to, you're like, oh, you want $1 billion from us for a new stadium? No.
The leagues allow it because
Good.
the owners are the league.
That's right.
There's
And
no
the
one there to
commissioners-
hold them accountable.
The commissioners work
Yeah.
for the owners. They
Right.
don't work for the players. They don't work for the
There
fans.
is there is no one. It's not like a senator or a president who is constrained to,
Yeah.
at least in theory, by the Constitution. No, the owners are the league. The owners make the rules.
I love sports. I love watching the NFL, love baseball. But sometimes the way the leagues operate really, really irritate me. Amy Marks scores, Chris Ranji. When we come back, John Rooney will join the show on KMOX.
Well, you know what else is really irritating? When you walk into your kitchen, maybe it's early in the morning, you're getting up, you're going to have a nice cup of coffee, and you open up the utensil drawer, get a spoon, and there's traces that a mouse had been there. You know what I'm talking about. And if there's one mouse, you know that you have mice, more than one. There's never just one. And it's so frustrating. And that happens a lot in the fall when the weather changes because rodents and pests, they tend to make their way indoors as temperature drop, right? They want to find a place that has food and warmth to survive the winter. And especially like mice, it's crazy how they can enter your home through the tiniest cracks and crevices. And then once they're inside, they multiply fast. That's why you need to call Rottler, 877-ROTTLER or Rottler.com. They're a third-generation company. They have a reputation for personal service. They're the largest family-owned pest control company in Missouri. And you get the Rottler Promise, your money-back guarantee if Rottler is unable to take care of the issue. So call them today, 877-ROTTLER or Rottler.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
St. Louis City SC is turning up the heat at the club's free pre-match city block party, starting at 4 p.m. on Saturday, September 28th, all before kickoff against rival Sporting KC. Come out to Lou Fuse Plaza, located steps from City Park, for live music from Tef Poe, Strings EMB, Darkwood, and others. Get special rivalry match merchandise and enjoy local food and drinks, games, giveaways, and so much more. For all the details, visit stlcitysc.com. We've got the sauce. Pour it on, St. Louis.
At 11:30, we've got sun. It's 70 downtown at the Arch. KMOX can now confirm that the Armory, the entertainment complex in Midtown, is closing down. And KMOX's Sean Malone did speak with one of the managers who said that it came as a shock that food and beverage sales from his perspective were good, and that the decision came from the redeveloper of that site, Green Street. We've got more coming up at the top of the hour, but the Armory is closed. And they've cleared out some road work on 170 south at I-70 this afternoon. Humid, less humid with more sun than clouds. High temperature is 78. Partly cloudy tonight, 50 in the coolest suburbs to 57 downtown. Sunshine tomorrow with a high temperature of 78. Sponsored by DesignAirService.com, St. Louis's leading air conditioning and repair service. We've got sunshine. It is 70 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
At Design Air, the customer is most important. From emergency repair to HVAC maintenance, high-efficiency furnaces, or an air conditioner installation, get great service from DesignAirService.com.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com. Bernie Nicholas gets the final word during sports on a Sunday morning. This Sunday at 11:45 on KMOX. Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX. Sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
The pitch,
And that stroke to center field. Victor Scott is there. He has it for a Redbird winner in Denver. Cave with a fly out to center, and this ball game has come to an end. The Cardinals win game 1 of the road trip, beating the Rockies in Denver 7-3.
Cardinals are in the midst of their final road trip and therefore their final couple of series of the 2024 season. It will all come to an end on Sunday. We go to the Quiver River Electric guest line today, and we talk with John Rooney, who is the radio voice of the Cardinals that you can hear on KMOX 1120, 98.7, 102.5 HD2 if you have an HD radio, and of course the free Odyssey app. John Rooney is with us on KMOX. Good morning, John.
Well, good morning. That's the best highlight you could do out of that game last night. How about the rundown?
Oh,
that
well,
would have been the highlight to play right there.
Well, there is the rundown
segment. I've never seen a rundown like that in my life, even in Little League, where you have a guy trapped between third and home. It was Nootbaar, runs back to third. Victor Scott is standing on third, but nobody tagged either one. Second base is uncovered, so is first base. So Scott runs back to second, Wynn back to first. The bases were loaded. They didn't get anybody out. And then the Cardinals scored the tying run after that.
What's funny is that in a game of the guys who are the absolute best in the world, weird stuff like that happens anyway, you know?
But we had weird stuff having like a ball four and a wild pitch that won the game Sunday against Cleveland. And that was kind of strange, but you play them out. And this team is playing out the schedule, not just to get it over with, but they're trying to accomplish something. And the guys show up early to the ballpark, like Brendan Donovan was out there getting a lot of work in yesterday before most everybody showed up. And that's encouraging. And I like the way they're going about it the last week.
It was fun to see the youth last night. They're playing well. Fun to see what their futures might look like.
And they've had moments like that through the season, but to have Mason Wynn drive in 4, hit a home run, a big double that contributed to a 4-run 8th inning, and Victor Scott driving in run, Walker driving in the go-ahead run, and the way Liberatore has been pitching. He got around first and third situation and put up a 0 last night. And again, the bullpen has been the strength of this team. They put up another 0 as each pitcher came out there, and John King looked good. So did Kittredge, who got the win, and Liberatore, and then Fernandez finished up. And it was a great team win last night.
John, you mentioned Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, we've been talking a lot about, and Victor Scott, you mentioned Michael McGreevy pitching in the game last night. A lot of young players, part of the win last night. What do you think of what you've seen from the younger Cardinals talent in 2024?
Well, Chris, you have to have some good things happen before you can have some progress, before they can feel comfortable. They can feel like they're accomplishing what they're setting out to do, because they put in a lot of hard work. And we're seeing that with more line drives and hard hit baseballs from Jordan Walker. And what we've seen out of Mason Wynn this year has been terrific. The guy has put up a sensational season, and this is the longest season that he has played. Now, granted, he was up in September last year, extending his minor league season, but he has had a lot of weight on his shoulders, being a major league shortstop at 22, being a leadoff batter. And when he went into the leadoff role, that's when the Cardinals started turning their season around from 9 games under to where they were a playoff contender for much of the season. But you have to have some positive things happen. They are having that. McGreevy looks like a much different pitcher at the major league level than he did at the minor league level. But I think that automatic strike zone, or the automated strike zone in the minor leagues, has a lot to do with the differences we're seeing in pitching numbers at AAA compared to the major leagues. As McGreevy had a good night, he gave up 3 runs, but for a young pitcher pitching in a ballpark that's notorious for giving up a lot of extra base hits, and if they hit it well, it's a home run here in the high altitude, I thought he did a great job. But we're seeing positive things happen. They need those to go into the offseason to be able to take the things the manager, the coaches, the people in charge are saying, you must improve on this, you must keep this going at this rate, and things to work on during the offseason. And I think they're more encouraged to do that, having some success here the last few weeks of the season.
Andre Palante has been a nice revelation for the Cardinals in the rotation this year. And, you could imagine that he might have pitched his way into being part of their rotation next year. You never know what happens during an offseason. But what is it from him that you have seen that has led to what he's done this year and the results he's gotten?
Well, it's a much better breaking ball. Having a good curveball slider has played well against right-handed batters. Right-handed batters, oddly enough, had really owned him when he was coming out of the bullpen. He was retiring left-handed batters, and Matt Carpenter had said that breaking ball of Palante's and his pitches were among the most difficult to deal with from a left-handed batter's standpoint, and that's pretty high praise for Matt Carpenter, who has a great idea of the strike zone and has worked the count to his favor. And last night he had a pinch hit double in that comeback. That was another big moment in the game last night. But Andre Palante's breaking ball has helped him get right-handed batters out and set him up for success. And he's kind of looking like the starter we saw a few years ago when he finished up with a great 8-inning plus outing against the Washington Nationals before going back to the bullpen. But it looks to me like he wanted to start, went to the minor leagues, worked toward that end, and here he is with some positive things to work into next year. And I think that bodes very well for him in making a run at one of those 5 spots in the rotation.
Talking with voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, here on KMOX. So this season certainly has been disappointing. We all had the expectation that they would fight for the division crown. It certainly didn't work out that way. What has been, as you've watched, I know it's not always just one thing, and very rarely is it one thing that leads to this, but as you do sort of a post-mortem on the Cardinals, an early post-mortem on the Cardinals, what is it? What is it that did not work in 2024?
Well, it's pretty much the same thing we've talked about all year. It's the inability to score a couple of runs and add on, and I kind of worried about that Sunday in the game where the Cardinals were able to come back and win by a run where they just didn't get enough when the opportunities presented themselves, and thought the Cardinals could have gotten maybe another run out of the inning where Mason Wynn hit the 2-run homer. But they were able to pick it up late in the game. But runners in scoring position, that was a big problem because by and large, the starting pitching was okay. The relief pitching was outstanding. So overall, I grade the pitching well for the year. But it's just situation hitting and taking advantage of opportunities that basically knocked them out of contention. But we're seeing them pick that up a little bit with what we witnessed with getting some opportunities and walks and hit by pitches and turning them into breaks when the other team makes a mistake. It seemed like the Cardinals did that and they made a mistake, then it cost them ball games because they didn't hit enough. But here, the last week of the season, going into the last week at home and now on the road, the Cardinals are taking advantage of other teams' mistakes to turn those into wins. And I think that's a big step in learning how to win. And certainly they've won enough close games, the second most one-run victories in baseball this year. And I think that's going to hold up well for those who continue to be a part of the roster in the future.
All right, with 5 games left to go, John, aside from watching these younger players and what they do, and it's only 5 games, but it is still Major League Baseball. What do you want to see? What do you watch for when you're playing out the end of the season?
Well, it's basic. It's very simple. Play the games like you are in contention, and they're doing that. Guys are showing up early at the ballpark. They're getting their work in, and it's something that hasn't changed from the very beginning. They've always worked hard, and they've tried to put themselves in the best position to play that night and perform. That hasn't changed, and that's going all the way down to the end. That's what you want to see, and I think you see results on the field just by going through that type of workload.
John, obviously, I'm a baseball fan in the sense that I'll still watch playoff baseball. I love cold baseball, and I'm bummed the Cardinals won't be there, but I'll watch it. Ricky Horton said yesterday on the Glover show that, as a player, he didn't watch any playoff baseball if he wasn't in the playoffs, right? It's hard for a player to watch a postseason that you're not in. What about you? And, it's a long season. When this season's over, will you keep up much with the playoffs, or do you step away pretty quickly?
Well, if I'm around it and it's on, or I'm in the car and there's a game going on, I'll follow it just to see how the season plays out. And of course, Mike Schultz, Padres turned a triple play last night. to beat the Dodgers and to get in. I just wonder if they did themselves a disservice, though, by having a big celebration after that, because they are 2 games out with 2 games to go against the Dodgers. And after Cleveland celebrated, they lost a 1-run game on Sunday to the Cardinals. And now they wrapped up first round bye with a win last night over the Cincinnati Reds. But I just wonder if that'll take an edge off of San Diego, a team that I think has won 9 out of 10, 5 in a row, and they're playing about as well as anybody. And I think they'll be all right in the postseason. But here's the argument. Do you have an edge if you have a bye in the first round instead of playing the wild card, picking it up at the end of the season and just playing right on through? It can be a little taxing on the bullpen if you get into some really tight games. But some teams feel that their offense is a little sharper if they don't have that break. But I'll follow it a little bit. I try to follow baseball all over throughout the year. And if I'm around it, I'll watch it or I'll listen.
A pretty cool moment, by the way, in that game to end it on a triple play to clinch a playoff berth, which has never happened in baseball before.
When you consider Ohtani's on deck,
right?
So if they get a double play out of that, you still have the tying run at the plate, and he probably would have hit a home run to tie it.
Probably.
The way he's going this year.
Just what he does.
So that triple play, they had to have it, and it worked out well for him.
John, it could happen tonight that your former team that you used to work for could break the record for the most losses.
That's going on 20 years ago now, Chris.
I know.
A lot of water under the bridge since then.
I still think
a
this
lot of
is
muddy water too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think people need to look at the White Sox and go see what happens when John Rooney leaves your team.
That's right.
Fall apart.
I left after a World Series. The Cardinals won the World Series
That's
the next
right.
year, won again in 11, went back to the World Series in 13. Need I say more?
You're the opposite of a dark cloud.
You are a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, you're a ray of sunshine.
The one
through
year I
town.
was with the Twins, they won the World Series. My last year with the Bulls, that was their first of 6 championships.
Come on, man.
So
Wow.
you're charmed.
not bad.
That's
Not
not
bad.
that's not bad at all.
Not a bad run at all. Just being at the
Man.
right. I remember Chris Carpenter asking me after the parade in 06, you just show up and get a ring?
Yeah.
I said, well, it took 18 years in Chicago. That's not just showing up.
Yeah. It took a long time. Before we leave you, do you want to hear one more joke?
Do I have a choice?
Well,
I guess I could hang up. But go ahead.
I'll tell you what. This is the way that you can prevent me from telling you any more jokes is to repeat this one on the broadcast tonight, and I'll never do it again.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
So I just found out that I'm colorblind. Yeah.
Uh-huh,
The
yeah.
news came to me in purple.
What?
Actually, I think I ruined it.
I don't get
Hold on, I ruined it.
I don't get it
the
at
news.
all.
Hold on, no, it's the news came out of the purple.
Oh, I'm going, huh?
I know,
yeah.
I
I
was too.
ruined it.
What?
I ruined the joke. I'm sorry.
You want me to use that on the air?
Yeah. It
That's-
came out of the purple because I'm colorblind.
John's
Yeah,
gonna
that-
say that, and then everyone's gonna be like, someone should call John and ask him if he's
Well,
okay.
My first year in the minor leagues, I was doing the Phillies team in Oklahoma City, AAA, and they honored Dallas Green, who was the manager of the Phillies who won the World Series against the Royals in 1980. It's my first year, 81. Before that season, I had a big Friars Club roast of Dallas Green in Oklahoma City. And Jackie Vernon gets up and he said, I'm delighted to be here with my good friend Houston Purple instead of Dallas Green. That's what that reminded me of.
That was actually pretty close.
That's probably better. Yeah. Well, John Rooney, from what I understand, according to our bosses, this is our last hit. This is our
Aw.
last hit of the 2024 season. Hopefully we'll talk again at some point during the winter.
Oh,
but
we will. We'll catch up at some point and all that. But it has been a gas. I'll say that.
Oh, thanks, John.
Oh, thank you.
I think he meant that.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty fun. I have a little bit more swagger because I get to talk to John Rooney every week.
that's right.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, but it's nice to be in a situation where you don't have the 3 minutes on Monday and Friday where you're on the sportscast where we can get into a few of the things like pirates and steering wheels.
Yeah.
And things
Yes.
You
like
remember that joke?
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
that was right out of the purple, too. I
Yeah.
brought that one up.
You've told that steering wheel joke to people privately, haven't you?
Well, I heard it. That's so old it's biblical, and but I heard it many, many, many years ago, and that's why I was surprised you would tell that on the air.
Yeah,
Well, he's bringing down KMOX one day at a time.
That joke was driving me crazy.
Oh, come on! All right, John. All right, my friend. Great season from you. You and Ricky and Claves. Just an awesome job all year. We love listening.
Jackson.
And Jim Jackson. We love listening throughout the season. And I guess we'll do it again in 2025.
That's the idea. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise.
That's right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
John Rooney, voice of the Cardinals. You have 5 games left to listen to Cardinals baseball. I know that there's a lot of disappointment this year, but, if you want to hear ball games, this is what you have to do. You can listen on the Odyssey app, 1120 a.m., obviously 98.7 FM as well.
You gotta, you know what? If you want to love them at their 2011, you gotta love them at their 2024.
That's right.
You're darn tootin'.
Wait, if you don't love me at my 2011, you don't get me at, wait.
If you don't love me
at my
in 2024, you don't get me at my 2011.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a way to put it, Amy.
I know.
Chris and Amy on KMOX.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're for Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9-MILLION.
Saturdays are made for soccer and City SC on Y98. Whether you're running around town watching your kids from the sidelines or making the time to give blood, you save lives by making your appointment at Impact Life, your community blood center. Make your appointment today at bloodcenter.org/soccer. And remember, you can always catch the City SC game anywhere on the Odyssey app and on Y98, your home for St. Louis City Soccer.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door, the most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to the practice. He joins Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brasati, and Royer as the Doctors' Doctors. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Max Shows presents the St. Charles Gun Show. Shop hundreds of tables, thousands of guns, knives, military surplus, tactical gear, and more. You got to go to the gun show this Saturday and Sunday at the St. Charles Convention Center. Visit maxshows.com.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Well, you heard Michael Calhoun mention it at 11:30 during the news that it is official. The Armory, which has been open now less than 2 years. We had our Christmas party there it was 2 years ago.
I didn't go.
That's right. You never go.
I'm not a big office Christmas party person. It's weird.
Well, it's closing. So you missed your opportunity to go to the Armory because it is closing.
Yeah.
They notified their employees either early this morning or late last night that that's it. And effective immediately, even though apparently the manager, according to the reporting from Sean Malone, said they felt like they were doing pretty well.
Yeah, it came as a shock to them, he said. But upper management, Green Street, is closing. It has confirmed that their Armour really closing.
Now, see,
what?
That's not funny.
I didn't laugh.
People have lost jobs now, and you're making
That
a
is
joke.
true. I didn't make a joke.
Armour really funny is what you said.
Armour really closing.
Wow. Listen,
Hey,
I like that place.
Yeah.
It's just a
It's
it's a
too big.
difficult. It is. It's big, and it should be a good event space, and something clearly should be done with
Yeah.
that building. It should be something in St. Louis because it's a really cool building, and I love the idea of making old things into new things, but I guess something
Like I said,
sustainable needs
I
to be
think they
there.
were like victims of the size. I know that sounds silly, but it's tough to have an event space like that. It's tough to be successful. But my brother went with his friends, and he said if you stopped and looked around, there were a lot of people there, but it felt empty and dead because it's so spread out.
But it wasn't dead.
But it wasn't dead, but
Right.
it felt that way. And that's why there is something to be said why some bars and restaurants, they almost err on the side of being too cozy, too close,
Sure.
because it's a better social feel. I think it was the space. I mean, maybe it would have gone out of business anyway. I know I'm really putting a lot on this. I guess I was just struck by it. Always had that weird vibe.
I would like to know what's really behind it, if it's mismanagement or if they have other ideas
Yeah.
or if there's something sinister or not. I don't know.
Sinister?
But if you, who knows?
What do you
they're-
mean?
Well, I don't mean like they're not plotting our deaths. I mean, are they doing something that they
Did
shouldn't
McDonald's close, or
be? Who
is
knows
it
what they're
something
doing?
more
I just
sinister?
I think it could be a number of different things, obviously.
Maybe they thought
but
it was
if
boring
it's-
to run it. The management, Green Street, was
Well,
like,
that's
we don't want to
stupid.
do this anymore.
Well, that's stupid. If you've got managers saying that it's doing well or they think it is, I don't know. I guess we'll find out more detail.
Ask Jerry Reinsdorf.
Oh, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji on KMOX.
It seems like almost every day there's another news story that makes us wonder if we're ever going to be able to make it to retirement. And building a nest egg isn't easy, but every week, Steve All sorts through the headlines and breaks it down and explains what they mean.
We got a lot of people calling with a lot of different questions. Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 for the All Financial Hour, right here on KMOX.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, and now is the time to do something about it. With Neovitamin Women's Multivitamin, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Created by a St. Louis physician, Neovitamin Women's Multivitamin is formulated with our proprietary blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Best of all, you can get Neovitamin Women's Multivitamin delivered right to your door with our convenient monthly subscription. Go to neovitamin.com and sign up for a subscription today.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-511-3535. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider, 800-511-3535. That's 800-511-3535. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-511-3535.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
If you're thinking about selling your home, I'm sure there are 2 things that you want: certainty and the most money, right? This is Debbie Monterey, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know that the agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis's real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first call when looking for an agent. Gloria does not make empty promises. She provides written guarantees. What does that mean for you? Certainty. Certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she will buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis's real estate expert, Gloria Liu, at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
It's 12 noon in mid-America. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Sunshine, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch. A newly opened bar and entertainment center in Midtown St. Louis is shutting down.
Less than 2 years ago, when it first opened, it dubbed itself the biggest bar in St. Louis. Now the Armory is closing down. I spoke to one of the managers who told me it came as a shock to him and employees, saying that food and beverage sales were good. He adds the decision came from upper management, Green Street. KMOX has reached out to Green Street for comment and is awaiting their reply. Outside the Armory in Midtown, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
All signs seem to be pointing to an Israeli ground offensive in Lebanon. BBC reporter Daniel DeSimone has more on the message Israel's military chief gave to soldiers.
He says your entry into those areas with force, your encounter with Hezbollah operatives will show them what it means to face a professional, highly skilled and battle-trained force.
Israel has been pounding Hezbollah targets in Lebanon with more airstrikes, but diplomats at the UN have been scrambling to try to avoid a ground war. The president appeared on ABC's The View this morning.
President Biden was asked about the latest escalations between Hezbollah in Lebanon and Israel.
An all-out war is possible, but I think there's also the opportunity to have a settlement that could fundamentally change the whole region.
He said there are certain reflection points in history
Or what happens in the very near term sets the course for the world for the next 6 or 7 decades.
and he said this is one of them.
If we can deal with a ceasefire in Lebanon, that it can move into dealing with the West Bank.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
St. Clair County, Illinois has a new senior living development going up to help with the housing shortage.
North Bend, a new subdivision for seniors just broke ground in Fairview Heights, Illinois.
Oh my God, the need is so great.
About 1,800 seniors, the disabled, or veterans are on the wait list for Section 8 housing in St. Clair County, according to the housing authority there. Dr. Jeffrey Dudley, Sr., Bishop of New Life Church in Fairview Heights, says their nonprofit helped get the $21 million needed to get this going.
It's 60 units, and it is 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, mostly 1 bedroom with garages, as well as an apartment building with a townhouse.
Dr. Dudley says it may be spring of 2026 before North Bend is completed. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The KMOX Business Desk, consumer interest rates are following the Fed.
Now that the Fed Reserve has cut interest rates for the first time in more than 4 years, with pretty much unanimous consensus that more rate cuts are coming, high-yield savings accounts are not quite so high yield. Goldman Sachs' consumer bank Marcus has now reduced the rate on its high-yield savings account from a 4.4% APY to 4.25. Similar moves are expected on cash products across the financial industry as the central bank keeps easing monetary policy. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Stifels down 274 points, 263 points. Just updated again, 252 points to 41,956. We've got road work on 170 going south at Page. The right lane and shoulder are closed. A disabled vehicle, 6440 going west at Clayton Road. That's got the right shoulder closed. Some road work on 70 east at Salisbury. That's got the right lane and shoulder closed.
Sunshine, some clouds, and pleasant this afternoon. High 78, partly cloudy this evening. Clear overnight, down to 50 in the coolest suburbs, 57 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow, high 78. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. Times are always changing, but Penn Mutual stands the test of time. The 177-year young mutual company is leading the way in life insurance. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. We've got sunshine. It's 71 in Florissant and St. Peter's and 71 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Rich Orris hosts the KMOX Home Improvement Show, presented by Mosby Building Arts. Saturday at 11 on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sadly, I also lost an investment in a company that I believed was developing a breakthrough concussion drug I thought would help others. And I'm sure you'll understand why it's too late for me, because I've recently been diagnosed with Parkinson's. This is also a cause dear to my heart.
That is former Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame. Well, he's current Hall of Famer, former Packers quarterback Brett Favre, in a congressional hearing yesterday on to the House Ways and Means Committee. It was on welfare reform, so sort of a different topic. But he did reveal during that he has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which has affected a lot of former players in the NFL, NHL. We have seen it some in soccer as well. And to talk about the effects of brain trauma and CTE, and then eventually getting to diseases like Parkinson's, Dr. Scott Carr is an orthopedic surgeon with SLU Care Physician Group who specializes in athletes. And Dr. Carr is with us on the Quiver River Electric guest line this afternoon. We appreciate your time, Dr. Carr. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Okay, so we're doing okay. So Favre revealed, forget about whatever you think of him, if as a player or whatever, but certainly a very prominent athlete or former athlete in the country revealing that he has Parkinson's disease. We have seen this happen with football players in the past. So when you hear his story, when you hear about what he is going through right now, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, obviously it's tragic and sad to see. It's possibly or likely a sequelae of multiple concussions or hits to his head from playing football, and that's always a concern that we have.
When we talk about CTE and brain trauma and the issues that can arise down the road, whether it's depression, something like Parkinson's, the focus does tend to be on professional athletes. But do we think that if you played high school football, if you played college football, that you could also be at an increased risk for concussion-based injuries, even if you didn't make it to the pros?
So the short answer is possibly. There's definitely a risk with any head injury, and obviously football, American football, is one of the most common ways to get that. Some of this has to do perhaps with the severity of the injury, but also just the volume or like the repetitive nature. So the longer someone's played a sport like football, the more common it is that this could be a possibility. So someone that plays high school and stops playing after that, their chances of getting it are going to be much less, probably just because of their exposure to these repeated hits is less than if someone played college or even if someone played professional. So yes, it's a concern. It's much less of a concern than someone that's played a longer period of time.
So we know that professional leagues like the NFL trying to do what they can to limit head injury of leading to brain problems down the road. But, you touched on something that I think is important. It's not just those big hits. It's repetitive, smaller hits that can be a problem, right?
Absolutely. It's harder to study that because if someone has repetitive hits, you don't necessarily have, they don't come and tell you that it happens like it would be for like a bigger hit where everyone sees it. But yes, there's at least some thought or evidence that repetitive hits also have an effect as well. Not as much so as like multiple big hits like we see in some recent athletes, but still an effect.
Yeah, and that was partly Brett Favre had talked about that several years ago when they asked him, well, how many concussions do you have you had? He said, well, if I remember the diagnosis, it could be 3 or 4 concussions. But if you classify a concussion as a time when you've had ringing in the ears or you're seeing stars, it could be hundreds or thousands, of concussions. So what would classify as a concussion? Can you assume that you have one if you get your bell rung or, as they say?
Can you self-diagnose?
Yeah. How do you know if you've had one?
Well, anytime there's like a hit to the head, and by the way, concussions don't always happen hit to the head. It can actually happen just like a whiplash type motion. And you have symptoms, whether it's those that are like headache, visual problems, speech problems, memory problems. I mean, that is a concussion. Obviously, like to say definitively, you would need to be diagnosed by some type of medical professional, whether it's an athletic trainer or physician who treats them. But certainly it's highly suspicious that those were concussions also, if you had symptoms after an event. So the short answer is yes, that he likely had many more concussions than were reported. And perhaps maybe the worst 3 or 4 were the ones that were reported, but he just didn't tell anybody or people didn't notify it. And honestly, like his career spanned an era where like we weren't as proactive about diagnosing and treating them as we have been, say, the last 10 years. He played in the 90s, when it wasn't as closely looked at as it is now.
Dr. Scott Carr, orthopedic surgeon at SLU, specializes with athletes of all ages. We're talking about Brett Favre's Parkinson's disease diagnosis. What is do we have definitive numbers, or as close to definitive as we can get on what diseases are the most likely if you do have repetitive head trauma other than Parkinson's? Is it just kind of isolated to that and dementia, Alzheimer's, and that sort of thing?
So I think they're all kind of linked. I couldn't tell you like what your percentage of developing Parkinson's was. No one can tell you that like from a single concussion or even a couple concussions, but just that those chances increase. I mean, most people do not progress to that nature. Obviously, or we wouldn't just hear about these certain fewer cases, but the risks are there and they increase with the more head traumas that there are. Still like less common compared to like every concussion, but the risks progress over time.
When I think of Parkinson's, I think probably a lot of people, you do think of Michael J. Fox and the shaking and the deterioration of the nervous system. But are there other ways that Parkinson's presents itself that may not be as obvious?
Oh gosh. So admittedly, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, not a neurologist, so the answer is probably. But I mean, I think the main things we hear about are the slowing of the nervous system. So things like dementia type symptoms, the tremors, the slowing down of how people move. But you can get most Parkinson's does not come from concussions. It comes from either unknown causes or just non-traumatic reasons.
Jack Buck, that was what affected him so terribly as well. Dr. Carr, we have a lot of people who are listening who have kids or young people in their family who play football or hockey or is soccer even, who are either playing those sports or considering playing those sports. How can kids, younger people, better protect themselves from the repetitive head injuries in those sports, other than just not playing at all?
So it's a combination of, there are things you can do as far as like neck strengthening or awareness or technique, especially like in headers in soccer and football tackling, that can not eliminate but decrease the chance of concussion. So those type of preventive things are number one, are very important. And the other thing is, when a concussion does happen, is to report the symptoms to someone, to a medical provider, again, whether it's an athletic trainer or a physician who's comfortable handling concussions and knowledgeable, that can help guide your safe recovery and return to sport in a progressive way, so you don't return too soon, or make sure whatever testing, if any, is needed is performed, and that you or your child is monitored appropriately. So there's no way to completely prevent them, but just things you can sort of decrease it, and ways you can handle it properly once it's occurred.
So in terms of younger athletes, and you deal with athletes of all ages, are you seeing certain injuries, whether it's head trauma or something else, more frequently now than maybe you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
So I would say in the last 10 years, rough time frame, we've been much better at diagnosing and seeing them. So I'm not sure we're seeing them more now, because we've been pretty vigilant about diagnosing them recently. I would say definitely much more so than 15, 20 years ago, because it wasn't nearly as well understood or as well advertised or talked about in the press or even the medical literature. But we're definitely very aware of it now. And so some of the increase, like numbers of concussions, is in at least large part due to both the families, the kids, and then also us was recognizing and being on the lookout for those symptoms and not sweeping under the rug. You know, if you're better now, go back in and play again, kind of thing.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, so you have the right to opine or not opine, but if parents are listening and struggling because they've got kids who are maybe in that 5th grade, 6th grade age, wanting to play football, do you either have it, to advise them to allow it, not allow it, or just certain things they should take into consideration? I do know, having talked to, friends and parents, they struggle with that 5th grade, 6th grade age. Like, should we let them play football or not?
That's a tough question, and I appreciate that. So I can't give you an exact answer, but what I can say is this: it depends. It's sort of an individual decision. There's very well documented health benefits, social benefits, developmental benefits from playing sports, of all sports. And so if the child excels at football and that's the main sport they want to play, then that may be the best option for them, is to play. Again, as long as you're being smart about their medical care. If the child has other options that they're equally as happy to do, or that they're equally or close to as good at, then there's a possible decision that, hey, maybe I'm just as good at basketball or hockey, and maybe I want to play those sports instead. Again, no sports injury free, but there's certainly a real argument to be made to at least think about whether you want to play football. There's a whole lot of well documented health benefits in playing. So you're much better off playing a sport than not playing a sport, or being in an organized team atmosphere than not. So I do think there's a place for culture, but there's also, a very reasonable viewpoint to say, at least think twice if they're, about what options, if there are other options that a child wants to do.
Dr. Carr, appreciate the conversation today. Thank you for talking with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Dr. Scott Carr, orthopedic surgeon with SLU Care Physician Group, again, specializing with athletes of all ages. A texter bringing up what we said yesterday, or talked about briefly yesterday, that players have donated their brains to science after they pass, so that doctors can can study CTE. We know Junior Seau did that. Dave Duerson was another. A lot of former NFL players have done that because they all knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this was years ago before we knew a little bit more about CTE and head trauma and what it leads to. So those guys who have done that have helped. They have helped us get more information, even though more information is still needed.
And I also really appreciate Dr. Carr's answer when it comes to, deciding whether or not 5th grade, 6th grade will play football, because that's such a great point that he said playing organized sports, it really does show there can be so much mental, social, emotional, physical benefit from it, right? So better to play, but take into consideration, health, how much they want to play that sport. I know, kids close to me that want to play football started at 5th grade, tackle football, but then also maybe some of their friends who start with flag football at 5th and 6th grade, just to kind of cut down on the years where there's impact.
Growing up, my hometown, I always said it like I'm from far away, Granite City, we did not have, when I was growing up, an official Little League football league. We didn't have that. They started one later, but we didn't have flag football. We didn't have tackle football, none of that. The first organized year you could play it was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to 8th grade, I didn't want to play anymore.
Right.
So.
And it's interesting, too, that it's not always head hits, because I play ice hockey, and a lot of times clean hits, like to the chest, like a good check, your head goes back and forth. It's the whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Amy Marks, Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. Lots of things have happened. Oh, my gosh. A lot of news breaking today. And over the last 24 hours, we're going to get to as much of it as we can next on KMOX.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535, 800-511-3535, or biglou.com.
It's warm now, but winter will be here before you know it. That's why Banner Construction is having their pre-winter window event. Choose from Banner's various energy-efficient brands and window price points featuring beautiful Pella windows. Banner is a certified Pella contractor and preferred James Hardie specialist. If you've been considering new windows or a fresh new exterior for your home, see Banner's work at bannerconstruction.com or call 314-569-1050 and have a Banner day.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise. But the one thing that we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies. 618-361-4232 or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial Inc., an SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
At KMOX, our focus is you, your go-to station for local news that matters to St. Louis and the region. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Chris and Amy show on KMOX, and Amy Marks scores one of the biggest items of news of the day. Well, really, it happened yesterday evening. Marcellus Williams, who had been on death row for the murder of a St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporter back in 1998. Marcellus Williams was executed in the state of Missouri at 6 o'clock yesterday evening. This was after multiple attempts to not free him, but to get him off death row. The Innocence Project was involved. County Prosecutor Wesley Bell also said that he should not have been on death row. In fact, released a statement today saying Marcellus Williams should be alive today. There were multiple points in the timeline when decisions could have been made that would have spared him the death penalty. If there is even the shadow of a doubt of innocence, the death penalty should never be an option. This outcome did not serve the interests of justice. And that is from Wesley Bell today. So that, and we've talked about this story, and that's my issue, that there just on the surface seems to be a lot of doubt. And this was not a slam dunk. The 2 people who testified against him were not reliable witnesses. One of them was paid, which rewards do happen, and it's murky when that happens. But this one in particular was especially interested in that payout before he would testify.
No, and I agree. And like I said, I think there were just like a lot of legal issues because initially the reason why the prosecution wanted to stay the execution of Marcellus Williams, because they had DNA evidence. There was new evidence, DNA evidence that was not available at the time that showed a third-party unknown male on the murder weapon.
Yeah.
As it turned out, there was no unknown third-party male. The fingerprints on the murder weapon were not Marcellus Williams, but they were the lead prosecutor and the lead investigator in the case, because the parameters, the way you handled the case, the rules were back in the 90s when this happened, they touched the murder weapon. So they didn't break protocol. Those rules weren't in place until later. But when in 2021, Missouri passed a law that allowed you to try to stop an execution, right? If you find new DNA evidence. So this is a new law from 2021. So all of this was predicated on that new evidence. The motivated witnesses that you're referring to, yes, I do think that's super sketchy, but that's not the new evidence. That's not the jury already knew what they knew about the witnesses.
Right, but there's still a lot of doubt here. There's still a lot of doubt, and that's I think what is the
key
most
issue is the
unfortunate
doubt.
thing.
Right, I get it, but I don't know if it's a
you just-
legal thing where the Supreme Court said, we get it, there is doubt, but according to the 2021 law, we have to have new DNA evidence or otherwise completely exonerating evidence that is new that the jury didn't see. We can't just reverse the jury's decision.
Well, they could. I mean, you got to do the right thing at some point here. And a person now, if we do find out 2, 3, 4, 5
Right,
years from now that somebody else admits to the murder, well, now this guy, there's nothing that can be done.
You can't
for him.
reverse it.
No,
You
it's
can't
it's
reverse
that's
it.
why life in prison. There is nothing wrong with that punishment. It is still a punishment. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. We learned of a big closing that happened here in St. Louis today. We have the confirmation on that. We'll tell you about that and more coming up on KMOX.
Well, St. Louis STL FenceWorks, I should say. STL FenceWorks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL FenceWorks, teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing years ago, and Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago, and all of their product is wholly sourced and manufactured right here in the U.S. You got to love that. And STL FenceWorks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. Now, maybe you don't want an aluminum fence. Maybe you would like to look at your vinyl fence options. STL FenceWorks has you covered. They have partnered with Homeland Vinyl Products, and the colors that are offered are very cool. Like you have white, right, and tan, which are your classics, but there's an Adobe clay color that's beautiful, as well as a chai gray or dark gray color. One of my favorites that looks really nice, really sharp. It offers you some privacy, a little bit of separation, right, between the neighbors. Also makes it way easier to let out the dogs. STL FenceWorks, family owned and operated, locally owned and operated. That's important. They've been with me as long as I've been at KMOX. Check them out, stlfenceworks.com.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows. And save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.TV.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
At 12:30, Sun 72 downtown. Helene is now a hurricane expected to speed up and gain strength over the Gulf of Mexico. Jamie Rome is deputy director of the National Hurricane Center.
The large size of the storm is going to push so much water. When it comes to storm surge, the size of the hurricane is often more important than the intensity, which is hard for people to digest.
The Cardinals begin their series in Colorado, beating the Rockies 7-3 behind a huge night from Mason Wynn. He goes 2 for 5 with a double and a home run and a career-high 4 RBIs. The home run was his 15th of the year. Michael McGreevy goes 5 innings, allowing 3 runs on 4 hits. He does not factor into the decision. Andrew Kittredge picks up the win. Game 2 of the 3-game set coming up tonight. Eric Fetty on the mound, 7:40 first pitch. Our coverage begins at 6:45. With the Redbird Report, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Road work on 6440 East at 94. The right lane is closed. This afternoon's high 78. For tonight in the 50s. For tomorrow, 78. Sponsored by Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling. Bothered by allergies or concerned about healthy air quality, Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling they carry a complete line of humidifiers, air scrubbers, and electronic air cleaners. ComfortSolutionsSTL.com. 72 degrees. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
213 Flashpoint Complex, which is available at Supplement Superstores, will take you to the next level, just like it does for me. I've been killing it in the gym for the last month with a big assist from that 213 Flashpoint Complex. Now, here's what it does. During the day, increases metabolism, fights cravings, gives you all-day focused energy with no crash. Overnight, it burns fat by lowering cortisol levels. It boosts recovery, helps you get a restful night's sleep, and it tastes pretty good, too. 213 Flashpoint Complex is available at Supplement Superstores. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Odyssey's I'm Listening is our commitment to more mental health conversations. Cowboys QB Dak Prescott wants everyone to talk about their mental health.
I think the more and more that we can continue to talk and allow people to understand that it's okay to ask for help, the more people get help, the more I think that we'll be able to provide with resources.
Talk saves lives. For more mental health conversations, visit imlistening.org.
Sponsored by Compass Health Network. Inspire hope. Promote wellness.
This is Christina Straight with Straight Realty reminding you why pay more than 4. In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many markets' ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Straight, owner Straight Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than 4?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Hi, this is Paul Goldschmidt, and it's game day.
It's the Cards and Rockies tonight. Ameren Total Access 645. First pitch 740.
Let's play ball.
On your voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Kids think it's just a joke. And they won't get caught, that they're anonymous behind the internet or emails or, voice over phone calls, that they won't be caught. And so they sometimes engage in this thinking it's a joke that there's no accountability for. And that's one of the biggest messages we want to send. We will find you. There is a way and that you will be held accountable for your actions.
That is Ashley Jones, the new special agent in charge of the St. Louis field office of the FBI, with us here in studio on the Chris and Amy show on Monday, talking about school threats. There had been an increase of them around the St. Louis area over the last several weeks. And there was something similar that happened this week. We learned today that on Monday, after posting a threat at Rittner High School, a freshman student there was arrested within hours of making a violent threat on Instagram. So they got to that student pretty quickly. Again, it is a freshman. And this is after also on Monday, there was a threat at Normandy. There was a threat last week with an Overland school.
East St. Louis as well.
It happened in East St. Louis. I mean, there was a threat in Ladue as well, right? And that was a couple of weeks ago. There was something at a Ladue High School.
Yeah.
There was something at a Ladue. I think you were out when that happened, actually.
Yeah, I mean, these copycat threats. And like we said, not only are they harmful because you do have to treat every single one of these threats as real, because school shootings do happen. And it's traumatic for parents and teachers and students, most importantly. And it drains all the resources in that area have to be pulled from other parts of the city, of the state to that school. And I hate cliches, but the play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You're a freshman. You're young. I get it. You could be 14 years old, maybe 15 as a freshman. I'm sorry you're such an idiot or had such a profound lack of judgment, even momentarily though it may be. But hopefully you learn your lesson and other people do as well, because you're an idiot. It's so disruptive and harmful and dumb to make those threats. So I don't have any sympathy for this person.
Well, when we spoke to Ashley Johnson on Monday, again, the new special agent in charge here in St. Louis, that was one of the things we talked about. We talked about it with Jay Greenberg when he was the SAC before, that a lot of people who do this, who phone in threats, bomb threats, shooting threats, whatever it is to a school, either they do it as a joke or they're mad about something, but they think they're going to get away with it. They almost never get away with it.
Yeah.
The FBI is really good at finding you if you make one of these threats, even if you make it from overseas,
Yeah.
which does happen.
And that's the key too. This is the FBI coming after you. This is not like, oh, we were at a party and there was underage drinking and the cops came. That's bad enough. It's not that.
No,
This
they'll
is
find
the
you.
FBI. They will find you. There will be consequences. I just ridiculous when it comes to those threats. I want to move on to another local story, but quickly, this does remind me of what happened with the coach, Dan Campbell.
Oh,
who
Dan,
got
yeah,
doxxed.
the Detroit Lions
This
head coach.
was another high schooler. It was a high school student who went to the same high school as Dan Campbell's daughter. Got mad because the football team lost the game. They won a certain play. I don't know if he didn't like a play or whatever.
It was a playoff game, yeah.
He doxed Dan Campbell, put his house address on the internet, doxed him, and Dan Campbell had to move because people started stalking his house and harassing his property.
Yeah, he mentioned that about a week or two ago, and then yesterday we found out where the doxing came
Yeah.
from. It was one of his daughter's classmates.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, you can say, well, kids have always been dumb. Sure, maybe. But now with the internet, social media, they have the ability to broadcast their stupidity and actually create real harm.
And also, stupid sports fans come in all ages.
They do. They absolutely do. Okay, a horrible, tragic story of St. Louis police officer David Lee. He was killed on Highway 70 when he was helping with a previous crash when a man who was driving drunk and speeding spun off, hit him, killed the police officer. And again, this Ramon Chavez Rodriguez, a Honduran national, he was on bond because he had entered the country illegally. He had also had run-ins with the law before because he had 2 counts already of DWI in St. Charles County after he kicked down the door of a home he shared with a woman. He strangled her, he punched her, he kicked her, and then tried to drive over her after he stole the baby she was with. And so, horrible story here. David Lee, now a St. Louis police officer, he was killed. And so the funeral arrangements for Officer Lee have been announced by the St. Louis police. So the Saturday, October 5th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church. This is 5515 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive, the visitation. Saturday, October 5th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The funeral service, Saturday, October 5th at 1 p.m. at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church, 5515 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive.
Absolutely tragic situation. And for the person who committed all of it, whatever the book is, throw it all at him. And
all of it.
Yeah. So I believe that since he has killed a police officer, he will be appropriately punished. I'm very confident that is going to happen. Amy, we found out, at least based on some of the new reporting on the Secret Service and what you would call, I think, a pretty big failure on the assassination attempt of former President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. They have found, and I think there's nothing really surprising here, but the new report, which was released today, they say that there were very key lapses in the preparation and communication that day. Interviews with top Secret Service officials and local law enforcement who were there as part of the rally say that the failures were foreseeable and preventable, and that many of the issues remain unaddressed. Look, whatever happens here, they're going to have to figure this out and quickly. Part of what needs to happen is there's got to be more funding with the Secret Service, because we do know that there are staffing issues, that agents are having to work overtime, which is not a good recipe, especially when we're in a hyper volatile political environment that we are in right now. They're going to need more Secret Service, not less. Because
well, yes.
whoever's the president starting in January of next year, whether it's Harris or Trump, there are going to be threats. There are going to be credible threats, and there may be attempts. So the Secret Service needs to be as well funded as possible.
Yes, and working overtime, right? we've all been in that position, but not all jobs are as equally demanding or
Correct.
require the amount of awareness. And it's one thing when I worked at a shoe store, a running store, I could barrel through working overtime. But if you are in law enforcement, Secret Service, and you cannot drop your focus or attention for a second, you don't want to work overtime. And I still go back to never try to create, insert, or fabricate a conspiracy theory when incompetence is most likely the problem. When incompetence, when human failure is probably what happened, that's what happened. You don't have to invent some crazy story. It should not be hard at all to lean on Occam's razor on this issue.
No, that
And-
is,
and-
but you know what, though? That is hard for a lot of people. They want to believe that if something terrible happens, there has to be this underlying nefarious big plot that occurred and not
So-
just people screwed up.
Well, yes,
It's
but-
somehow it's easier to understand for
but
some
I think
people.
maybe I have more empathy for that in really tragic situations, like the amount of grief from 9/11. Jennifer Senior wrote this incredible Pulitzer Prize winning story on grief, how parents of a son who was killed on 9/11, one of them kind of fell into the world of conspiracy theory because he couldn't deal with the grief of 9/11. The other one kind of retreated into her own world. But what we saw with Donald Trump, potentially, yes, very, very tragic. I mean, he lived. It felt like political conspiracy theories more than grief-driven
Yeah, this wasn't
conspiracy
grief.
theories. Right.
Right.
And I think with Occam's razor of if you're looking at the government and you're looking at bureaucracy and you're looking at different departments and all day long you say, oh, they're incompetent. Oh, the government, can't even get my paperwork right. Shouldn't be that hard to believe that,
Well,
yeah, they've dropped the ball.
I do think the ancestor of all of this is the Kennedy assassination, and then his brother being killed not
Mhm.
too long after that, and just people having to believe there must be something. There must be a deep state. There must be this network of really awful people running everything and killing people they don't like.
Speaking of conspiracies, here's one. Guess what's skyrocketing again? Egg prices.
Oh,
Yep. So
Yeah.
supermarket prices as a whole are not skyrocketing, but eggs, yes. So prices of eggs have spiked by over 28% in August from 12 months ago. It's the biggest increase out of any food item that is tracked by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, there is a pretty easy answer for the increase in prices, or at least the primary driver, and that is 101 million birds have been impacted / killed across 48 U.S. states since January of 2022 due to avian flu.
they've had to be euthanized.
Yeah.
How do they kill 100 million chickens? How do you quickly kill
One at a
100?
time. Is that
No.
a joke?
No, I don't think you do it one at a time.
Well, they're not
You
all
don't
on the
burn 'em, do
same
you?
farm.
Well, no, but they're all over but there's no place where
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
I do
Raj.
want the answer to this
I don't
question.
think I want
I
the
want to know how
answer.
you take care of 100 million chickens. I know it's not all at once because they're all in different places, but most of these places have a bunch of chickens in one place.
Well, the USDA.
And you're not killing them one by one. You're not the stupid aliens from War of the Worlds killing people with lasers one by one.
The USDA found that the number of egg-laying birds dropped for the second month in a row, and total egg production fell in July year over year. And here's what it is. I think chickens are waiting longer to lay eggs. I think they're going to college, and
They
they're
might
living
be.
a little bit of a bigger life before they start to lay some eggs.
What I would like to know is how is this Joe Biden's fault?
He
'Cause it's
probably-
gotta be.
He probably gave him the flu, honestly.
You think so?
Remember when he was sick? The
Yeah, that's
debate?
probably what it is. He infected 100 million chickens. So we got news today. The Armory, which had a lot of promise, is a very cool venue here in St. Louis, right off Highway 40 or 64, whatever you call it. It is closed. Today, it has closed, and the Armory did release a statement in part. The statement reads, Jacob Miller, who created the Armory's STL concept, attributes the closure with capital. Quote, it's pretty simple. The landlord was supposed to fund the build out of the whole thing. When only a fraction was funded, we were left with an incomplete project and we're drowning in debt. We are working to restructure the whole thing.
So here's what I think. I think it's space. The Armory is 250,000 square feet, which means there could be 250 people there, and each person would get 1,000 square feet to themselves, which is
you're
too
right.
much.
I don't think it's that. I do think that
I'm halfway joking, but also kind of not joking.
There's a top-down problem. I remember being in there a year or so ago and talking with somebody who, was it a manager? And them saying, oh, yeah, they're going to do a whole thing in the basements. There was going to be a whole thing there, and then they were going to do something upstairs. I'm not sure any of that got done. So, I mean, you're going to attract fewer people if all of the plans you have for it aren't executed. So, unfortunately, it's closed. I hope something gets done with it because it is a very cool building, and they renovated the damn thing. There was supposed to be an outdoor patio up top. There were all these plans that I don't know, not going to happen now, I guess.
No, it's not. Quick update as well. Just more questions about leadership at the City Justice Center. You know, the one where all the riots happened and the prisoners were throwing flaming sheets out the window and furniture out the windows because the locks don't work and never work. Well, the City Justice Center director, Jennifer Clemens Abdullah, is on leave. The Ward 14 Alderman Rasheen Aldridge said they've had a lack of transparency with a lot of the situations that have been going on in the jail. It's clear that things aren't working over there, from the staffing issues to the safety of those in our custody and to the general public just having questions that are unanswered.
That is Amy Marxkors. I'm Chris Ranji. The Chris and Amy show continues. Of course, you can listen on the Odyssey app and leave us a voice message. Tap the mic button, record it, send it. We'll listen to it on KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When was the last time you watched your home movies? Disasters strike unexpectedly. Every year, American families lose the one thing they'd run back into a burning building for: their family's memories. Hi, I'm Nick. And I'm Adam. We started Legacy Box to help save your family's most important recorded moments so you don't have to worry. Load Legacy Box with your old movies, film reels, and shoeboxes of photos. We work our digitizing magic, converting those memories right to the cloud so they're safe and accessible forever. It's fast. We always send your originals back, and it's done right here in the USA. Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, and Inc. magazine are all talking about Legacy Box. New York Times columnist David Pogue says, "Have them digitized. I wish I'd done it sooner." Take action. Save your family's memories today with Legacy Box. Go to legacybox.com/value to get an incredible 50% off your Legacy Box. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off while supplies last. legacybox.com/value.
There are nearly 70 million people that are currently using Medicare and taking Social Security. When you retire, you could be one of them. The question is, have you figured out how best to use these programs? That's where Steve All and the All Financial Group can help. Join Steve and his team on October 23rd at the All Financial Group office, where Steve will discuss Social Security. And special guest and Medicare consultant Scott Stream will present on Medicare. This event is complimentary, but you must qualify to attend. Call 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Scott Stream and Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC are not affiliated.
Making junk disappear is happy magic.
But what is the point?
We make space for possibility.
That's huge.
We make junk disappear.
And that gives you possibilities.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Barry. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
I'm Roger Brand, and this is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Amy, I know you saw this story that came out of UNLV.
Yeah.
They have a football team at UNLV, and their quarterback is named Matthew Sluka. Well, apparently he is no longer their quarterback. Over the last few years, the name, image, and likeness rules that exist now in college, which allow the athletes to make money off, themselves. They can be paid. They can have endorsements. It used to be that they couldn't do that. Well, this is a first that I am aware of. This quarterback, as their season started, 3 weeks ago now, they began the year 3-0, UNLV did, and this quarterback had been performing relatively well for his undefeated team. Well, he made the announcement late last night that he is not going to play for the remainder of the season because he says that he was promised certain things by the university when he decided to go play there. Now, he's a senior, and he's already played a few years, but he decided to redshirt for the rest of the year, which means he's not going to play.
That's like screwing over your teammates.
It is.
Big time.
It is. However, it's also kind of a job. And if you are made promises, and I don't know what the promises were or if this guy's full of crap, his dad spoke to ESPN this afternoon, or rather this morning, and said that they were promised things back in February the school did not follow through on, and therefore they've made this decision.
Are there conflicting reports? Because there were also reports that the school had paid them everything they promised.
So very clearly, this is a he said sort of thing, right? Like, we don't really know. The player and his dad are claiming that promises were not followed through on. Now, if that's the case, if you go to a university and they tell you, yeah, we're going to do this, and this, because he played at Holy Cross prior to this and transferred to UNLV, he says under the idea that certain things were going to be met, and if they don't do that, I mean, I don't blame a guy for saying, look, no, if you're not going to follow through on what you told me you're going to do, then I'm just not going to play, and then I'll go play somewhere else next year. I don't blame him for that. But if he and his father are full of crap, that's a different story.
So Carl Reed Jr., I'm not familiar with him. He is a college football analyst with 247 Sports, 24/7 Sports, and CBS Sports. And he tweeted out this morning at 7:55 a.m., all financial commitments for UNLV QB Matthew Sluka were completely met, but after wins against KU and Houston, Sluka's family hired an agent, and they collectively feel that his market value has increased per source. Again, this is a football analyst, for a couple of outlets. Are you familiar with Carl Reed Jr.? I think he's was a local guy.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. But at any rate, that was one of the conflicting reports, but I don't know who this source is.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is NIL is very confusing, and there are people are saying, but in sports and coaches and so forth, that really felt that the NIL was going to make things a hot mess. And while you can be sympathetic and empathetic with athletes in this multi-billion-dollar college football universe not getting any payment for their names, that once you start adding in money and that we can pay you to come to this school, it's going to get very messy, and it seems like a steaming pile right now.
Well, they better figure it out. They had the opportunity to just pay these players directly, and they refused to do that. The NCAA wanted nothing to do with that. So
and the
this is the
NCAA
result.
is always on the up and up too, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally. They've never done anything that
They're
is
always
questionable.
looking out for the athletes.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
So a lot's going to come out about this story, but it is really interesting that a guy has quit in the middle of the season. I'm not sure he's wrong, but we may find out differently. Anything you missed is on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. You should get that Odyssey app, though. It's great. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. The Dave Glover Show is next on KMOX.
I was afraid I was going to go to prison for using an office printer to print a W-2 form. And this guy is having sexy time in his cruiser.
To have a roof over your